Good evening. So, I'm not 100% sure what's going on with the audio. I moved my lights around, and one of my lights went out, and I had an extra light, so it's sitting here, and things are going to look a bit different. You have to let me know if it's cool or too dark or too bright or whatever the case, but it seems like it's working, so... That's actually I did, right? I don't know. I popped on unironically at 1:11 today. Very strange. But, yeah. So, interesting day. A lot of stuff going on. Good things. Good things. And I have a new addition to the desk here, which I'm going to be talking to in a little bit and listening to in a little bit. And I decided to do some math related to this item, and I have some really interesting stuff to share tonight with respect to Gematria, and more specifically, how you can find interesting connections if you really kind of dig, and that's exactly what happened here. So it's gonna be fun to talk about. There are some other things I wanted to discuss as far as the Oracle, and some things that have taken place with respect to that. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I thought that we should cover a couple of kind of basic things with respect to numerology, and related to the tarot, and related to really the whole story that I'm always talking about here. And so I'm going to be pulling out some notes today that I haven't really done before. I've been carrying this around for quite some time. I'm in the process of compiling a book related to a specific topic. It's kind of in the scope of what I do here on the channel, but a little bit out. But I will be speaking about it. It's related to temples, and over time, and sort of the path of knowledge, and how and where it derived and when, because there seems to be a very interesting correlation between certain bodies of knowledge and it appearing at odd times across different cultures with no real connection, and yet the knowledge is very specific. And so it just kind of led me on this path, and that path led me to some findings, and those findings led me to this whole unfolding. But that said, I'm going to share some of that tonight. Not all of it, but some of it. And some of this is very pertinent to what I do here. And some of it is going to be a little maybe obscure. And so I'm going to save that for another time. But that said, it's going to be a fun topic. It has to do with basically the numbers related to the name of God, the holy name of God, many-fold, right? The 72-fold name, the 4-fold name, and the number 52, and how it relates to the number 52. And why 52? Well, we'll see. It's going to come up, and it's very interesting. So, Gematria is one of those things that you have to sort of it's this weird dance between taking it with a grain of salt and recognizing the holy nature of the information, right? And you have to really walk that line very delicately, because if we fall in the wrong direction, it's folly, right? And that's not what we're here to do. What we're here to do is to uncover truth, and the way that we do that is by practicing temperance. Temperance is not just do without, balance these things in your consumption, but that also includes how you view the world, the things that you allow in, the way that you look at those things, and that we don't give too much meaning to the things that don't deserve it, and that we don't diminish the meaning where it's important. And that's I think necessary if we're going to become greater, become more than we were, and to hopefully, if we can, through our experience, share that around, right? And so that we can all kind of grow from each other. And so when it comes to wisdom and the source of it, I've spoken many times about these different orders, right? These different accesses to information. There's the religion, education, society, and I call that the outer order, right? That's my term for that. And what that refers to is the lies told openly, right? There's some truth in some of it, and there's lies in others, and there's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of agenda, for sure. And so it requires a little bit of skill to navigate. And it's very easy to fall into traps of falsehood, of group thinking, and some other things, right? And so that place is sort of dangerous. And it's unfortunately where most of us live. And that's okay, because there is an opportunity for you to kind of step into a different place. And that's the place of taking a deeper look at what you think you know, and where it came from. And deciding, from a different perspective, how you feel about that. So we can look at the information from the perspective of the mental activity, right? And, here's this thing I heard, and I looked at it, and I thought about it, and I did the math, and it seems to work. And that's usually where a lot of us stop, right? Or some of us just kind of live in the heart, and we don't really let it appear, right? And this is how I feel, and that's what it is. That's even more dangerous. That's a problem. If you find that to be your predominant state. Certainly you need to use this to experience the world, but you also need to use this together. Separate, but look at each before you make your conclusion, right? And the body, how does it make you feel? The body is so fluent in truth. That feeling, that tingle, you kind of know, and this is very important. It's built into us, not only spiritually, subconsciously, but it's a very effective means of survival. And so it is evolved and honed and polished into this perfect sense that we don't even know we have. That's how honed our sense of body is that we don't even recognize that we're using it. We just we call it the worldview, we call it assumptions. But what it really is just such a fluent language that we get fooled into thinking it's us. And so pay attention to your body, it knows. And, obviously spirit. Spirit is a little different, right? Where do you hear spirit? It's kind of the unification of those three. It's similar to how spirit, heart, and mind combine to make body. Body, mind, and heart can be combined to hear spirit. Okay, and so that's kind of the equation of how to listen to the truth. And now, when you interrogate the world using these different perspectives, and then you apply that and listen to your higher self, respond to that information, you're going to have this unified sound, voice of your direct connection to what you're witnessing, right? Is it lies? Is it truth? Is it me? Is it something else? Is it valuable? Is it dangerous? Can it be used and shared, right? And all these things matter. And so The inner order is another made-up word, but basically is by invite only. It's not available to everyone. The outer order, anyone who wants to can go in, pay your dues, and they'll serve the lies for free. You know, very often you don't even have to pay the dues, right? But the inner order is different. It's invite only, and what that means is that you can't enter the inner order unless you have the eyes to see or the ears to hear. And what that means is that you're able to begin to utilize this technique I just talked about, and you start to see the world with different senses, and it allows you this experience that begins to enlighten. Your light starts to shine. And so, although you spend most of your time reflecting the world, you're also starting to cast your own light at the same time. And so now you see that light bouncing back, and so you see little glimmers of truth that you weren't able to before, right? And that's what the inner order is. It gives you access to that. And then you may bump into some other people who are on that same path. In fact, that's very common, right? Because what happens is it develops almost a spiritual density in your soul, and there's a gravitational effect that happens. And you will begin to draw in others. How cool is that? And, you know, it happens here all the time. It's great. This community that's being built, and this whole subject. YouTube is such a great opportunity, and the way that it's evolving with respect to interaction is really a big deal. So it's affording some really cool things to happen, and one of those things happened. And it happened right before I was going to come on here. I happened to look down at my phone and decided to pop in on YouTube Studio and look at some of the comments before I jumped online. And there was this comment that just it rang so true. And you know why I bring this up with respect to the inner and the outer order and all this is the fact that there's another level of knowing, and it's an intuitive level. There is no initiation, there is no dues to pay, there is no eyes to see, ears to hear. Some people just know things, and they don't know that they know. Just the same way your body speaks, and it's so fluent that we don't even realize that that's what's happening. Those people are sort of plugged in, and very typically may seem to the outside world to be different, not in a negative or a bad way, but there's something about them, you know, whether it's a personality quirk or a way of speaking or a way of thinking and how they communicate that. There's sort of like a level you can see, like almost like a distant sound. You can see a mastery in their presence, in their approach to things, and it's really cool when you can witness that kind of thing. And I've been very fortunate to see that in a couple of cases recently. One in particular I just want to bring up that popped into my space right before coming on. So I'm just going to pull up the comment because I want to get it exact. It was one of these sort of very timely things. I don't know. It was one of these very timely things. I'm sorry. I'm just getting hung up reading it again. It's so good. It's so good. So this comment came from Kitten, and who's it's a regular contributor to the conversation here in the chat, right? Along with Brianna, Missy, Uncle Noob. There's several people who come in here. The dude comes in a lot. Vesta. There's a lot of people. And Kitten is one of these people. But and every once in a while, it's really great. People just I would warn, when you enter this community, look down on the floor because there's gems being dropped all over the place. Shushu's good for most of the time. At the end of the stream, if there's a comment from Uncle Noob, read that. It's great. Whatever it is, just read it because it's going to be great. But she shared this in a comment to the last stream I did 2 days ago. And here's what she says. Oh, it's so good. And God said, love your enemy. And I obeyed him and loved myself. You know, there's a very important doctrine in a lot of religions, and that doctrine is that, you know, truth can come from anywhere. And more importantly, it's the voice of God. It's the voice of truth, that literally speaking, right? And you know, it's the best when they don't know it, right? This particular individual happens to be pretty intelligent and has a pretty tuned vision, like an artistic vision, and so I can see where she makes some kind of connections. But I can almost guarantee you that she wasn't thinking, "I'm speaking the voice of God," when printing, you know, typing that. She was just like, "Oh, this is going to be a smart comment, and I think it's appropriate, and it may create an emotional response, and hopefully make somebody happy." Whatever her reasoning was, it's probably all those things. But that said, though. I bet you it wasn't her invoking, you know, divine, and or at least intentionally doing that, because that's what she did. But intentionally, I don't know if that was the case, and that's what you did. And you know, it hit me like a brick, and so I imagine I'm not going to be alone in that. And you know, so just kind of take that in. That's awesome, and allow yourself to do that more. And a lot of people here do that, and so it's great. That was special and powerful, and it's a biggie, right? That's a biggie. So, and I encourage others to do that as well. You know, anytime we can have an actual real discourse, that's an important thing. And so, you know, we have to allow ourselves to do that. So I want to now move on quickly to this new addition to my desk here, which is a special thing that I want to make sure is heard properly. I don't know if it's going to be able to hear. It's a singing bowl. You know, it's a religious / ritual / magical item, right? It's common in some cultures and kind of new to others, but I was introduced to singing bowls probably in the late 90s. And my first experience with them was with the crystal ones. And I moved on to the copper, brass. This is brass. And I told an interesting story a while back about an experience I had with a singing bowl. It was made out of crystal, and I gonged it and got it going really loud. This is at INATS, the International New Age Trade Show, right? And it was in a big area with a ton of booths, probably, you know, a couple hundred different people in this area. And this one individual had several booths to himself, and was selling these bowls and everything. And tall enough where I could get inside in a lotus position, and I would be inside of it, right? It would be above me. It was a pretty big bowl, and I got it going, bong, right? And I'm getting it going, and getting it going, and getting it going, and I wanted to see if I could feel the vibration on the inside, and so I put my arm in, and I touched my arm to the very, very gently, barely touched it, and I got jolted back. I mean, like, it was almost like getting not an electric shock per se, because it was in the form of pain. It was the most painful experience of my life. I mean, literally, nothing has felt that level of pain since. That was it. And I was dizzy, nauseous. I was confused, and yeah, it was really something. So don't touch a singing bowl once it's a glass one or a crystal one when it's going. It's really dangerous, and it could shatter. It's really dangerous. This is much safer, and certainly much smaller and easier to handle. And I kind of like the small ones because you can hold them, right? And it's you can use them for other purposes, like for instance a bead oracle, right? Or there's other things that you can do with them in your hand. But there's something about being able to kind of hold it, and you know, and it being, this one fits my hand quite nicely. It's almost like meant for my hand. It's a good size, and you know, being a hermeticist, I said to myself, well, I have to do the math. All right, so I got out a frequency counter, and I rang it, and I'm going to ring it in a moment. I rang it, and it counted. Now the app, this is an app, and apparently it's not too tuned, because I wound up using different software after the fact that was much more accurate, and I mean down to the sense. If you're into the math of sounds, you know that it's basically a fraction of a note, and so it's really accurate. But that said, it turns out it's an E5. Okay, so it's in middle A is A4, which is 440 hertz, or 440 cycles per second. The wave goes up and down 440 times every second. Okay, and that's A in the middle of the keyboard on a piano. Actually, I have a diagram of one here of a piano keyboard. Right, so let's put it the correct way. So it starts with C, D, E, F, G, and then that's A. A is right there. Okay, in between those two black, that's the A. Right? And now in the middle of a piano, that's 440 hertz. Now if you go above to the E after that, you're going to wind up at E5. Okay, and now E5 is the frequency of this bowl. So when it's singing, and again I'm going to ring it in a moment, you're going to hear E5. Okay, and it's actually a beautiful tone. It has a great voice. Wrong book. So I did the math. E5 has a very specific frequency. It is the same in every piano on the planet, and if it isn't, you need your piano tuned. A440 in the middle, right? I mean, I already had the conversation about A432 for the Tesla fans, Nikola Tesla, or some other individuals who based some of their studies on some of his math, have come to some conclusion based on his math that music should be at this frequency and A should not, should be at one place instead of 440. And so I went over that, but I'm using the A440 standard. Okay. And so the bowl sings at E5. And so I figured I would do the math on E5. And so thank you, Shushu. The fact that you showed up now is everything, because I'm about to, crazy stuff's about to happen. This is pretty great. So this is a singing bowl. I got a singing bowl that's a new addition to my desk, okay? And you gong it and you ring it and it's going to sing, okay? Now, the note is an E5. And so I went looking to find the frequency of an E5, and that is 659.25 hertz. Right, so 659.25 cycles per second is the frequency of E5, the E above middle A. And the wavelength is 52.33 centimeters. Okay, so I just want to be clear about what that means. The wavelength of a sound is, when a sound is ringing, it appears actually very much like this diagram I have in the I Ching here. And so I'll use that, okay? It appears like this, where we have the sound begins and goes up to a certain height, and then goes down to a certain height, and it does this cycle, okay? And it makes this cycle. The up and downs is a 1. Okay, that's half and then 1. It does that 659.25 times per second, or up and down in the speed. So that is what a frequency is. Now the wavelength is the distance between the two peaks. Okay, that actual distance between those two, and literally in space, in the air. If you could view sound waves, we can measure them, so we're able to view them. Okay, we can view sound waves. If you were to do that and measure the distance between those waves, each sound has its own distance. Sort of the length of that wave is literally what makes the sound higher or lower. Right? So take a rubber band and pluck it, and then pull it. It's going to get higher pitched, right? So the wavelength is changing. Essentially, the wavelength is getting smaller. It's getting denser, right? And as you let it go, the wavelength, it flops higher, and it's like a bigger wavelength, and it's a lower pitch. Anyway, that said, though, and the smaller the frequency, the higher the pitch. So this idea is an important one because it gives us this number of the length of the wave. And so the length of the wave of this bowl is 52 centimeters, which is actually pretty big, right? For those of us here in the United States, our ruler is 12 inches, but it's also 30 centimeters, okay? And so now, so basically 52 centimeters looks like, right here. All right, so it's the wooden ruler and all the way to here. All right, so this distance. All right, that's a pretty big wave, right? This thing is like going in the air, like pretty big. So it's 52 centimeters, 52.33 centimeters. Okay, so that's the wavelength of the bowl. So just to be clear, 659 hertz, 52.33 centimeters in space. That's cool. It's a pretty big wave, right? It's almost 2 feet. Now, these numbers, when you're, a hermeticist, mean a lot. And so I had to do the Gematria. So what I wound up doing is I took the frequency, which is 659.25, and assigned the letters to it. Right? As we know, in the Hebrew language, they don't have separate characters for their numbers. So Greek is very similar, right? So Aleph, it means A, but it also means the number 1. Bet means B, or the number 2, and so forth. Now, here's the thing that matters. I can take the number 659 and assign a number to it. 6 is Vow, 5 is Hey, 9 is Tet, so you get the idea, right? This lets us make a word out of the number, and then I can see if that's, first of all, is it a word, or is it just a bunch of numbers, a bunch of letters? And if it has a word, what is that meaning, and so forth, right? And you can also look for other words that have that numerical value. So the first thing I did is I just went for the number. 659, and then 659 is the 120th prime. All right, so it's a prime number. That's cool. It reduces to 2. All right, great. And the words that it means are interesting, though. 659 means panting, which I always just can define as excessive breathing, right? Panting. Things flowing away. Things scraped or heaped together, like to make a pile. Love that. So cool, right? And then I took the numbers and assigned letters to them. So 659 becomes Vow, Hey, Tet, right? And 25 becomes Bet, Hey. And so it actually makes a word. Basically, it's pronounced, I guess, and again, I'm an Italian from Brooklyn. I'm not a native Hebrew speaker. Otab, right? I'm gonna speak the first vowel as an O, and the Hey as a in addition to that O sound. So it's gonna be O, and then the Tet Bet Hey as Tab, right? So Otab. That's the word I came up with. Anyway, so long story short, I then looked at. It's not a word. Unless it is, and if you speak Hebrew and it is a word, please let me know. Yeah, I'm going to be dinging in a moment. Bing. It's going to be a pretty sound, too. It's a pretty sound. The wavelength is 52.33 centimeters. Now, those numbers are arbitrary, but there's some interesting things there. Like 52 is the number of weeks in a year. And what are weeks but the divisions of the moons? So, and what is the year? The cycle of the sun. And so 52, just with respect to our calendar system, is an interesting play of the number of moons and the number of suns. It's a beautiful ratio of how many moons to the sun. When you divide it up into its phases, like this quaternary. Excuse me. But it turns out 52 is a much more holy number. And, I kind of touched on it before with respect to the Gematria. The name of God, the Yud He Vav He, is also has a numerical value, which is 26, right? And so right away, twice the name of God is 52. So fine, but that's me stretching. But no, it's not the only place that appears. Because the reason twice means something Kabbalistically, if you don't have a knowledge of the Hebrew language, may not be obvious. And so now, when you want to spell the letter, meaning that, how do you spell the word Yod, right? If transliterated, we're going to spell it as Y-O-D. Usually I see it spelled as Y-O-D, Yod, right? You can see it there. There it is. I forgot it was on the screen. I'm staring down at my desk here. But that's not how it's spelled in Hebrew. The way you spell it in Hebrew is by using two of the same letters. So Yod is spelled Y-Y. And now if you do the math on Y-Y, that's 20, right? Because Yod equals 10. Right, and now Hey is going to be Hey, which is 10. Vow is going to be 12. 2 vowels is 6, 6, 12, right? And then the final Hey is going to be 10, which equals 52, right? And so what we're looking at here is essentially the name spelled out. Spelling out the letters of the name spelled out equals 52. And so there is a connection between the holy name of the Tetragrammaton, the fourfold name of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the Jehovah, Yehovah, Yahweh. None of those are correct, but they work to point to it, to talk about it, right? And so very interesting. Now, and 72 is in there as well, as far as the tetractys, but basically the dot, the pyramid of dots. This is an example of it kind of drawn out right here. Right? These are my notes from tonight. And if you draw out the name of Yod, Yod-Heh, Yod-Heh-Vav, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, it equals 72. And so it's the unfolding, right? It's the permutation. And it's just a beautiful little unfolding. And what does all this mean? Absolutely nothing. But the reason I bring it up is because the numbers do matter. Nothing matters except what we decide matters. But when it comes to understanding the formation of language and its interplay with the archetypal science and art of number, and how we can utilize that as a language to literally speak to the archetypal world, then suddenly it becomes significant. Because that's the world where the pieces that are used to assemble this world live. And if we can enroll it in our will, it will give us the pieces we need. And then we can enroll the other worlds to assemble them the proper way. And that's the art of manifestation, and I promise you it works. Now, so 52. Now, are there any interesting words that have the numerical value 52? Well, of course. In fact, one of them is one of the most holy, which is Yah is God. Now, Yah is there's many, many names of God. But this is kind of one of those special ones, right? You're going to see the word Yah come up a lot if you study Kabbalah, if you study Gematria, or if you study the Magick of Tetragrammaton. You're always going to be bumping into this idea. And so when you see the word Yah, pay attention to it, right? And see what the math is. Look at where what is the context that it's being used, because it matters. Especially when you're reading Torah, or you're reading anything that uses the term Yah as the speaker. 33. Let's look at 33. The actual wavelength is 52.33 centimeters, right? 33 has a numerical value that connects to another word related to Yah, which is interesting. Yah lives. So 52.33 means Yah is God, Yah lives. Now here's a really, really cool correlation. You got to add the numbers. And so I added 52 and 33, right? And you get 85. And 85 means who is like Yah. Now, let me be clear about why that's significant. The Hebrew word that's being spoken for 85 here is Michael, just without the Lamed. It's the version spoken without pointing to deity. Because when we use the angelic names, we take the intelligence of the being, which is Mika, and then we add God to the word in Al. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, so forth, Uriel, Samael. Anyway, for the masculine version. For the feminine version, it's Ea. So it'd be Micaiah, Raphael, and other that related to the Shem HaMephoresh, the 72-fold unfolding of that, are these three-lettered angels with an L or an Ea added. That's where the names come from. So that said, though, how neat. This bowl comes into my being, right? I do the math, just for the heck of it. Why not? And it turns out that the wavelength is the Hebrew word for my name. That's just great. Love that. And also the frequency is kind of a special circumstance where there's this dual meaning between everything being going away and everything being pulled together like as into a pile. So it's this weird thing of shedding what's not needed and then bringing together what is. It's a beautiful kind of. So what it's actually going to be speaking is me, my name, and the concept of shedding and bringing, reception and bestowal. Come on, love that. And I knew none of that when I bought it. What I decided was I want it to be small, I want it to be brass, and so forth. And this is what came to my being. And so let's hear it. Who wants to hear it? So the way you get these going is you give it a bang, it's going to begin to vibrate, and then you just touch it, and you keep the wand on the bowl, and you drag it, and as you drag it, it continues the resonance. It fuels the vibration. My energy, the motion of my arm, it will be transferred to the bowl and will be utilized, and we will hear the product of that utilization. Okay, so basically what we're hearing is the bowl consuming me. All right, it's using my energy and it's making something from that. Right, and so it's a beautiful act of giving. I'm giving to the bowl in my actual energy, utilizing the food I ate and so forth, and it's giving back to you through vibrating out into the world and creating change into the world, and then hopefully eliciting a resonance response in you that will be felt as this action of bestowal and reception that it's speaking. Okay, and so let's give it a go. And you guys let me know how it sounds on the mic. When I listened to it back, it sounded fine, but I don't know how it's going to come off streamed. So let me know. I'm going to bring it to the distance of its wavelength from the microphone, okay? And you let me know if there's a difference in the sound, okay? So pretty. That's a great sound. It has a beautiful tone, just beautiful. There's no twang to it. There's no dissonance. It's really a beautiful tone. Whoever made it, it's important I believe that the craftsman cared, right? It matters. Like each one of these marks is a hammer mark from a, like a hammer. A person turned it and hammered, and until it became the right shape and then polished and so on. That love matters. And if they, it will sound different with one less hammer stroke, or if it's moved, everything makes it different, right? Well, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you melt. So awesome, and it's good that you're open to it. And so there it is. There it is. That's the sound, right? Isn't that pretty? Noise. Noise is my word. So, yeah. But I can't believe I just remembered that joke. Key and Peele, come on. Key and Peele are hysterical, man. They need to like put reruns of Key and Peele on forever. I don't care. That's just great. I'm going to just incidentally go over the chat real quick. I haven't even looked at it, so let's do that real quick before we move on. Height. I trimmed. Yeah, I trimmed, and apparently I was a bit overzealous. Ding. You can try Mozart Piano Sonata in C major, 330, third movement. Okay. On this? Or would you want me to do the Gematria? I'll do the Gematria. Here's an important thing, Shushu. Mozart was a Freemason, and he was also a Rosicrucian. Although that's not true because the Rosicrucians don't exist. But that said, though, and he did all kinds of nonsense in his music, right? So, I wonder. But you know what? That's interesting. I'm going to do that. Actually, let me copy that now from the chat so I don't miss the piece on the bowl. Let me paste it in here. And I was wondering too, what a good song would be to play with the resonance. I love that. Like to get the rhythm going. Actually, I bet you. Wait, is that public domain, or is the performance considered the copyrighted? Because I want to be able to play classical music on my channel, but I'm not sure which ones I can get away with without getting strikes and stuff. I mean, I've gotten away with a couple things so far, but I don't want to push the envelope. If only I knew a piano player that was willing to record the music and then give me their recording so that I might play it on my channel and tell people that here's the person that made that. Go look at their channel and give them money. But really, though, yeah, so I will check that one out, though, and that would be cool. It's public domain. Okay, good. Well, I know the music is, but I wonder if the performance is. I don't know. But I'll definitely check it out. And you know what? The more I think about it, it has to be. I mean, come on, because, you know what? So let's say I just decide for whatever reason that I want to put out my version of the Rider-Waite. I'm allowed to do that. The Rider-Waite is public domain. So you can go get the artwork and color your own version and go. That's why there's 17,000 different Rider-Waite clones out there, right? But I can't just go and copy. Oh my gosh! I can't just go copy someone else's and do that, right? Or if I decide that I want to make my own and put it out, you can't just take mine and resell it just because the original content that I repurposed was copyrighted. My version's mine, right? I colored the fool with a goldenrod instead of yellow, so my deck's unique. But no, I wonder how that works. I imagine the performer should have the right to sell it and no one else profit from it or utilize it without their permission. But yeah, if only I knew a musician that could play it. But so yeah. But no, what I am gonna do though, just for the heck of it, I'm gonna have fun with what you suggested there. But I'm also going to do the Gematria on the notes, right? Because we know, like, where's my... Alright, we can easily take this and just figure it out. Like, say, okay, well, A is a 1, B is a 2, G, right? C would have to be, I would say, you can have cough, maybe, or ket, but I would say cough. Use cough for C. Use hey for E. Pay for F. And we can get some numerical values, and we can get some interesting learning from that, right? You know, there's a lot of bands, actually, that hide math in their music. I know Tool does a lot of that kind of stuff, right? In fact, Tool did one song which is entirely Fibonacci. It was kind of neat. And once you know that, you're like, And I know a lot of bands do pi, right? The number of beats will be 3, and then 1, and then 4, and then so it's just really neat. Sort of like the haiku of mathematics. Man, these notes are old. Look at this. Let me show you my original notes on that. Here's the tetractys I was talking about. Oh, actually, put it here. These notes are like 20-some years old. This is ignore that math. Well, don't ignore it. It's correct, but yeah, it's not. I'm not going over it tonight, and so don't. You can look at it, but I'm not going to talk about it. All kinds of good stuff in here. There's like 14 lectures on this page. I'm not kidding. That one is everything. This little thing right here is freaking everything. And when I do talk about this is the basis. There's my book. There it is. But this is all the unfolding from that. Like everything that unfolded from. There's all kinds of goodies in there. Ooh. Secrets. Vesta. Oh, Vesta, how's it going? Hello. Good evening. So, that's a fun little, that was fun. Pi, Phi, and E as air, fire, and water, right? Did I go there? Of course I did. I'm a math nerd. You think I'm not going to go there? Of course I did. And so what's that one in the middle? The 72. Where does the 72 come from? Well, we talked about that. 72 comes from here. Why is that significant? Because I showed you the dots, but did I show you that? You know what that is, right? That's very simply just taking this shape, which includes 10. 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 10. The Sephiroth, the digits, the math, everything, universe, right? Connect all the dots. That's it. And what you wind up with is this interesting shape here. This shape right here, right? Very interesting. Well, whatever. But it also contains a Merkaba, right? You see the Merkaba? Let me remind people. Okay. It also contains literally all of the Platonic solids, which I happen to have right here. So now, as an example, inside of that shape, you'll find the tetrahedron, obviously, right? That's so just apparent. It's just, connect the lines there. But you'll also see a cube, and the cube is in there. It's in the angle of, it's in this angle. And so you have to kind of imagine it from that direction, and you can draw it in your mind. But they're all in there, right? This is the icosahedron, the dodecahedron, the octahedron, the cube, which is a hexahedron. I'm calling it a hexahedron. Deal with it. And a tetrahedron. So it's got to be a hexahedron. Fight me. All right. So it really does. Let's think about that. Tetra for 4, right? Octa, yeah, it's got to be a hexahedron. I have a ding ding ball I use for readings. 333. Let's check it out. Let's go to Crowley first, and if we don't find any goodies, I'll have another resource. 333. The Kabbalah of 9 chambers. Okay, so this is the Kabbalah of 9 chambers. Well, let me use it. I'll put it on screen. Basically, it's this. I think I have it on the bottom. I do. All right, this is the 333, 222. This is the code for using those a cipher, but it's also a way of doing a permutation. So, for instance, we would take the word Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey, and we'd find the Yud, which in this case is going to be 10. So it's that I right there, right? And now we can either transform it backward or forward. Or if we were going to write it, we would write it as basically a right angle with a dot in it. And if we were doing the Kof, the 100, it would be 2 dots. But that's the idea. My monitor just flickered. Why is the monitor flickering? So the first one is the Kabbalah of 9 chambers, right? And so that refers to this symbol here. And I have the one that I use for my old ass eyes, I put together myself as like a high contrast version, right? And so that I can just glance at it really quickly, and you know, and it's got the letters and the transliteration as well. Just my own chart that I put together. This one is I forget what book I copied it from, but there it is. So there's that. Let's see what else we get for 333. Choronzon. Choronzon is a very specific name that is the beast of the abyss. The name of the beast of the abyss is Choronzon. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to speak about that eventually when I talk about Kabbalah. No, I'm not going to teach Kabbalah. How dare I? But I can point at it. And I am going to be speaking about Kabbalah. And when I do get there, you're going to be hearing a lot about the abyss, and specifically Choronzon. And here's how that's pronounced, or spelled, rather. Let's get that right. There we go. I just realized that was useless because there's no way you could see that. Sorry, Shushu. But, and then finally, the number 333 equals snow. Snow. Which is cool. We're coming into that season now, but snow. Okay? And so, very, very good stuff. You have the beast of the abyss, and that's a good thing. What the beast of the abyss is, as you know, my friend, is, the other side of the mirror, right? That's all we're talking about. And so, when you stare into the abyss and you call out, and that whoa that you hear back is you, which is also very indicative of the bowl, because consider that the bowl is you. That's your voice you're hearing, right? And then snow, how beautiful. Love that. So what do you mean, Kenton? Read which should we read? Now let's just do 333 would be no, but seriously, it would be Gimel. So it would be Gig, Gag, Gog. I don't know. Anyone who speaks Hebrew, help me out here. But yeah. Now that also would be 9. It would reduce to 9. If we permutated that, we could potentially find something interesting there as well. But yeah, that's fun. That's cool. No, I mean, we could read the book you held up. Oh, read this? Or read this? This I'm going to get to another time. This is a great book. I mean, I can certainly read from it. Good stuff in here. Yeah, it's a great book. Some of it's a little hard to approach on a live stream because it's just so esoteric, right? I guess it's not so bad. The formula, on which one may meditate for years while exhausting its wonderful harmonies, gives an excellent idea of the way in which the Kabbalistic analysis is conducted. First, the letters have been written in Hebrew characters, then the attributions of them to the zodiac and the planets, and those are substituted, and then the names of the Egyptian gods belonging to these are invoked. The Christian idea of Inri, I-N-R-I, is confirmed by these, while the initials form the sacred word of the Gnostics, that is, Aiel. From the character of the deities and their functions are deduced these signs, and those are found to signal, as it were, the word lux. Whoa. So, it's an interesting thing, though, actually. Now that I don't mean to be silly. There was an interesting thing that was brought to my attention recently, that you should entertain old books that you've kind of read and haven't looked at for years as you come to other truths, or as you continue on your path of enlightenment, because you'll find gems that you hadn't seen in years or missed the first time entirely. Yeah. But that said, though, it's a great book. This one is really readable for a live stream, and this one I will be reading from a live stream, right? Yeah, so let me see if there's a couple more gems. Now that Vesta's here, Vesta, I had mentioned to you a couple of times that let's do some left brain stuff, right? And so I'm just going to throw a few gems at you. I'm not going to discuss any of it. This is just these are teasers for when I do get into this information. It's just not in the scope of tonight, but we'll get there. Okay. So yeah, I began to look for and found many correlations, different ways where we can find the transcendentals that all speak and connect, and so that's pi, phi, and e, the mathematical transcendentals, right? I don't mean with respect to meditation, but specifically with respect to the pi, phi, and e, the constants. They're infinite numbers. They can be derived from various means, but never realized using normal mathematics, right? 22/7 does not give you pi, right? And so the only way to get true pi is with an infinitely large circle, and that's can only exist in the mind. So if you do want to experience true pi, you can only imagine it, but you can imagine true pi. Same thing with phi, same thing with e. Phi is the idea of the small to the large is the same as the large to the whole. And that's used very often in all over the place, and it's visible everywhere. And again, I'm not going to really get too much into it tonight, but just to say that it's another one of these infinite numbers that can be pointed to, but can't actually be realized using math. It can only be done in the infinite space of divine mind, which thankfully we have, that your mind is divine. So then, and then finally E, which is the ultimate multiplier, right? E is the idea of the exponential, and then so I went looking, because I accidentally once, when doing some thought experiments related to Phi and Fibonacci, found pi. That's what one of these is here. This is my interpretation of where to find pi in Fibonacci. The square root of f16 over 10, right? So if you take the normal Fibonacci sequence starting with 1, the 16th digit, the square root of that digit over 10 is pi. And it's accurate to 5 decimal. And I'm going to get there. I said it fast on purpose. I'm not here to teach that tonight. And when I do, it's going to be like really granular with spreadsheets and the whole bit. I just need, in a couple of days, I'll be ready. And so, very interesting when I went looking to how these three transcendentals connect. So, for instance, the moon and the earth have a radial ratio of 11 to 1, which is 0.27272, which is essentially E over 10. E is 2.718. 2.718 equals E, right? E over 10 is the radial ratio of Earth to the moon. How amazing is that? I'm imagining that apple pie now. You know what? I went for cherry. That's where my mind went. My mind went for cherry pie. But apple pie is great. So isn't that cool? Let's look at another one. Earth and Mercury radial ratio. What is the radial ratio? The distance of the middle of the planet to the edge of the... so Earth and Mercury's radial ratio is 2.61 to 1, or phi plus 1. Phi plus 1 is the ratio of Mercury's radial to Earth's radial. That's just great. Take the period of Venus, the length of Venus around the sun, like measure that distance, okay? Multiply that by phi, and you get Earth's distance to the sun. And I'm not kidding, just to be clear. Take the circle of Venus, multiply it by phi, and you get the line of Earth to the sun. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Think that shit's an accident? Of course it is. The cosine of 72 is exactly half phi. The cosine of 72 is exactly, to the infinite, phi over 2. The sine of 666 is exactly, to the infinite, negative half phi. It's negative phi over 2. Like, are you kidding? So just to be clear, the cosine of 72 is the name of God in half, and the sine of 666 is the negative God in half. Yep. Wait till I get to the Bible stuff. I'm going to blow minds. Really, my Bible stuff is ridiculous. Some of it I didn't share because I was asked not to until a certain time, and that's passed, and I'm gonna speak to it. And that's good stuff. All right. This is great. This next one's huge. 360 degrees in a circle divided by 5 is 72 degrees, right? So if you take a circle and you divide it by 5, you get 72 degrees. Here's an example of what that looks like. That's that. There you go. All right, and just separate it into 5. Here's another example of that. That's what that looks like. Okay. The lighting's a little weird now. I'm not used to the lighting right now. I'll get used to it. Okay, so each one of these is 72 degrees across, right? These angles are 72 degree angles. There it is. So 72 degree angles, okay? Pi times phi equals 5.0832. Those are all Fibonacci numbers. Once more time. Pi times phi equals 5.0832. And those are all Fibonacci numbers. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, so on. Why does that matter? 5 to the 0.5 times 0.5 plus 0.5 equals phi. I don't know why that's interesting to me, but it is. 72 times pi times phi equals 365.99. Just to be clear, and just do it on your own calculator. 72 times pi times phi equals 365.99. That's just great. That's basically the year in a day. It's a year in a day. What is a year and a day? 72 times pi times phi. Why do I know that? Because I'm a nerd. And it's funny because I still had girlfriends. I don't know, go figure. But that's just awesome. Now, what is a year? What is 365? That's not an arbitrary number. 365 is the number of times the Earth does this in the time it takes to do that once around the sun. So that's a real interesting number. It's not just the number 365. It's actually the number of days. The number of solar cycles, right? That's special. That's a special number. And so now if we consider what we're talking about here, 72, the name of God, times the circle, times the golden ratio, gives us the length of the year. Anyway, so, okay, cool stuff. 72 divided by pi times phi. I did 72 times pi times phi. Let's divide it, because why not? I'm a hermeticist. We have to play. 72 divided by pi times phi equals 14.4. Any nerds in the room? 14.4. Now, why is that significant? So it's a modem thing from the 90s. No. What it is 72 times 2 is 144. Let that sink in. 72 divided by pi times phi gives us twice the name of God over 10. Very strange. 72 to the third divided by the precession of the year. I probably shouldn't even get the precession, but it's the length of the wobble of the Earth that changes it gives us the ages, why we have an age of Taurus, an age of Aries, an age of Pisces, an age of Aquarius. Why that occurs is a very specific reason. It's astronomical in nature. It's a beautiful happening, and it has a length of time. The full cycle has a length of time, which is 25,920 years. Long story short, 72 to the third divided by the precession gives us that same number of 14.4. Anyway, all over the place. It just appears everywhere. The square root of pi times phi times 72 is 24. The number of hours. It makes you wonder if this, like where they got these from. And now 72 is obviously a significant number with respect to all of this, because of its connection with 5 and its connection with phi in particular. If you were to draw a pentagram on here, actually I have a diagram over here so I can show it on here. And you were to draw circles around the points of that pentagram. Let me use the red one. You see the lines of the pentagram here that connect. This line is intersected twice. It's intersected there and there in a normal pentagram, right? Where not where the lines are connected. I'll use this one then. This line is intersected here and there. If you take the length of that to the length of that, it's phi. And so it's built in. But also, it's the same thing if you were to take that pentagon and draw circles around it. That distance to that distance is exactly half. But if we see where the point intersects with the line on that circle, that point is the phi point. And so it's all over in five-fold symmetry. And now there's a very special place that we see five-fold symmetry when we look up into the sky, and that's when we witness Venus from our perspective. When we look at Venus and we see it's the shape it makes when it revolves around the sun, it draws a pentagram in the sky. It draws a five-fold unfolding symmetry. And if you want to see it, it's all over the internet. There's really good visual interpretations of that dance. It's quite beautiful. NASA has some great stuff too, but just look around online. You won't take long searching for it. It's there to be had. Right, fun stuff. I don't know how much of that is tickling your left brain, Vesta, but I chose to bring it up. I had it tucked away, and if you popped in tonight, I was gonna mention it. So these are just very quick. I'm not talking about any of it outside of just here's the fact, because there will be a point in the very near future that I am going like knee deep into the stuff, and then I'll go deeper if you want. And so we'll see. But it's a great subject, and there's a lot, way more there than I haven't even. That's nothing. So, that said, it's going to be fun, and anyone who's interested in numerology, sacred temples, and sites, stick around for that one. I mentioned Angkor Wat in Cambodia. I mentioned obviously Stonehenge, and some stuff in the United States. There was a certain point that my math said something should be, and it's been buried, and you can look it up. It was in South Florida. There was a stone object that was found, and it was uncovered during an excavation for a hotel. The person said, "I don't care," and the hotel was built on top of it. And so, that said, though, it's there. They found it. It's real, and it was exactly where I said it was going to be. Anyway, that's not some kind of weird psychic thing. The math showed that there should be a temple on that longitude. I didn't know it was going to be in Florida, but it landed on the right longitude. That's what I'm getting at. And so, I mean, for that to not be the one. And I know that might not have made too much sense to everybody, but it will when I speak about it. And when I actually do that talk, that particular lecture is going to be totally mind-blowing. It really is. That's why I want to make sure I'm ready to do it, that I have all the stuff that I need to present it properly, and that I give it the subject the respect that it deserves. It's a biggie. So, what else? Is there anything else in here that I didn't talk about as far as the bull's name? I don't think so. So I think I'm going to call him Otab. Just based on the 65925, in Gematria. It winds up as Vow Hey Tet Bet Hey. I'm going to read the vow as an O. I'm going to not vocalize the hey. I'm going to use it as a stop, like an O. And then I'm going to pronounce Tab. So it's Otab. If I do it backwards, it'll be Tabo. Taboo. Bata. Bato. Buttock. I'm sorry, dude. I don't mean to insult you the first day, but your new name is Butt Cheek. Alright, so his new name is Butt Cheek. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Butt Cheek. The question is, which one? Is it the left cheek or the right cheek? Well, let's talk about that. Which one's male, which one's female, right? So let's look about polarity and gender. Is the right hand male or female? What do you guys think? I'm going to go with male. The right hand is male. That's my opinion. What do you think? Butter. No, it's butt cheek. It's too late. See the delay, man. The delay. If there was no delay, I would have seen that in time, and his name would be Butter. But now his name is Butt Cheek, and it's sticking. I'm sorry, dude. Okay, good. Yeah. Secretly, I was like, wait a minute, did I get the right eye? Because I did the math as far as the eyes, right? Right eye, left eye. And then I carried that down into hands. And so, and it's also, the giving hand, the receiving hand. I guess that makes sense, right? Like the healing hand. And so it's just, but the fact that you corroborated that makes me feel better. Cool. Well, you can give it your own nickname. So male, right? Female, left. Now, I have this vibe that is a male energy. Asians say male, left hand. Okay, interesting. And I wonder what the symbolism is there, too. I think, where I went, too? I just went with that the right is the active, because I'm right-handed. And if I were left-handed, I probably would have thought left is active and had that here's another interesting point. Actually, Shushu. They did a study recently, and they found out that 100% of male cats are left-handed. 100% of male cats are left-handed. So that just lends to the fact that nature's saying that male equals left. Wonder if there's a mathematical equation to where Cleopatra's tomb is located. I don't know, that depends. You haven't been buried yet. I guess we'll find out. No, but all kidding aside, I would say, yeah, probably is. But that's going to be based on various factors that we would have to look into, right? We would have to look into, for instance, are there other, let me put it this way, rather. Gather some data on the locations of the tombs that we know of and look for a pattern. If we find one, then we would see, does that pattern apply to Cleopatra? Because there's an important point here. Cleopatra is seriously new. Cleopatra is closer to time to us than to Tutankhamun. Just, right? And so she's really new, and she was Greek. She was not Egyptian, right? And so consider the fact that from that respect, she may not have been buried in the same fashion as... So all that's going to matter. But that's a great question, actually. You know? I don't know. But now, I don't know what to do here. Okay, what is Vesta saying? Right most dominant. Okay. Because... Oh, they are? Really? Oh, someone's looking for her? Yeah, I don't doubt that. I wonder if they found her already. Like the, Iwas is... I don't know him personally, but you have to imagine that anybody who's in that position of being the keepers of the key, is going to tell secrets. Right? Or keep secrets. Make it like at all costs. He's not going to talk. And so if they found Cleopatra, would we know? Or would it take some time before that was revealed? Like it's reported that there's stuff hidden in the Sphinx. There's stuff hidden under the pyramid chambers that lead to other parts of the country. Who knows? Because they're not telling, right? I guess we'll find out eventually, but yeah. But so that said, that was a tease. That was a little tease of some left brain stuff because you asked for it, and the past couple of streams I haven't been able to get to it, and I thought, you know what? If she comes in tonight, I'm going there. And I'm going to be bringing up a lot more numerology and subjects related to it as we move forward as well. So look forward to that. In the meantime, I'm just going to go heat up my coffee. Let's see. Supposedly found 4 days ago in Egypt. What? What was found 4 days ago? Oh, okay. But so let me heat up my coffee, and then we'll come back and we'll do psychic stuff. And we'll have some fun with that. And I wanted to show you guys this. This is something that I dug out of the basement. And I'm going to be using and showing this. Listen. You hear that? You hear how thick that is? That's some pretty chunky glass right there. That's not plastic. Okay, great. Be back at the speed of Kerrig. This chat just got really cool. Let's just catch up here. That's where my Astro. Oh, really? A bong? Cheech and Chong? Born in East LA. I was born in East LA. Man, Cheech and Chong. So cool. Tommy Chong, he went through some nonsense, man. The best part of waking up is a bong rip and a blunt. Big time. No, you know what? I don't do blunts. I don't. You know why? They hurt. Like, consider how bad smoking is for you. Let's be honest. And I'm not gonna front. I smoke. I do. I'm sorry. I do. It's true. That said, though, it's bad. And now, smoking filterless tobacco while smoking marijuana just addicts you to tobacco. I don't know, but anyway, and it just gets in the way of having a nice experience. I don't know. It's personally, that's my experience. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the best way to do it. But that said, blunts are bad news. They're not good for you. Just why go there? Just stick to dark coffee. That's what I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to dark coffee. And I will eventually quit smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes, they entered my life very young. And I spent too much time smoking and eventually quit. And went back and forth and back and back. And so I recently quit and went through a little period of some loss and kind of leaned on them. All right, but I'm going to take care of that soon. It's a stupid habit. It's just ridiculous. And there's no benefit. Severe pothead, awesome. Yeah, same here. Like, there was a point where I think I was not sober for 15 to 24, maybe. Yeah, about that. Which was a very formative time of my life, too. I mean, jeez. Street tacos, legit. You want to talk about tacos? I know somebody who tried that for breakfast today, and it didn't work out too well for them. I don't recommend you do that. But yeah, truth. And actually, I'm very lucky too. I live in a small, sleepy little postcard town. But right next to me is the original capital of New York, Kingston. And in Kingston, there's all kinds of good stuff, and it's very diverse culturally for upstate. And the food's amazing. And there's really great Mexican all over the place. Like, great Mexican. And so you can't beat it. And there's like legit food. I mean, everywhere you go, it's authentic. Like it's awesome. But that said, yeah, good stuff. College, yeah, everyone goes through their moment with it, right? I've found out too that it is evolving. Yeah, but they taste so good. They do. Every once in a while I have that craving and there's only one way to deal with it, and that's to, just be ashamed of yourself. And so, I go into Taco Bell and I get a 10-pack and I eat the whole thing. And then I go, wow, I just did that. It's like, okay. And like I didn't know what I was going to be paying for later. I decided, why not? I mean, you know what's going to happen. You've done the math. It's not going to be different this time. But we do it anyway, because why not? You know why? Because tacos. That's why. So, what should we do? Should we read tarot first, or do you want to do some I Ching first? Or do we want to do some oracle stuff, right? We have the new Hermes oracle that I picked up from Robert M. Place we can play with, right? Or we can do the bead oracle, which I haven't really pulled out in a few days. What do you guys thought? What are your thoughts? The self-talk on the Hershey Squirt's coming to a theater near you. Hell yeah, truth. Not a joke. What do they say? Oh yeah, I did a T-shirt years ago. So funny. From Cinderella. I have Cinderella, and she was on the ground scrubbing the floor, singing, and I had notes coming out of the back end. And underneath it said, "A fart is a wish your butt makes." I thought that was so clever. Everyone I said it to was like, "That's disgusting, and you better not make that shirt." And I'm like, "It's totally happening." And so I drew. It was my artwork because I didn't want to get busted by Disney, so I changed the color a little bit. But I drew it by hand, nothing, and it was my artwork. And I just did a couple. I didn't put them up online, and I sold them in just whatever the case, just to see if. And people thought it was funny. I don't know. I thought that was funny. Tarot Oracle, cool. Yeah, let's do them together. Why not? Let's do them together. So now here I have this cup that I picked up a couple of days ago on my haul. That is sort of like it's my new altar cup. But in its current state, it's being used to store a couple of decks. And so let's use them after I try not to knock over the kaleidoscope with it. Love that. So in here is the gold and black, the black and gold, and then Surrealist. Okay, so like the color. So it's the upper and lower world, and then the middle, right? The Inner Sanctum. So we'll use these, and then we'll use the Oracle along with it, and so we'll do that. And I guess we'll start with the gold and black, and then we'll decide if we want to use another deck from there. What should we read about? There's got to be something fun to read about. Let's ask Otab. What do you think, Otab? What should we read about? Right. Oh, there's ladies present. The mouth. All right, so I asked Otab, and he said E. So I guess that's what we have to read about. What do you think? I don't know. Didn't we read about that yesterday? Yeah, I don't want to do that. Let's do something else. We don't have to listen to what he says. It's funny. You know what's in my head right now as I'm shuffling these cards? Coming to a theater near you. Yesterday's lunch. I can't get that out of my head. The Hershey squirt coming to a theater near you is just. Thanks. Poodles week? Cool. Let's switch to this other screen. Tell me if you guys think this is a better view for tarot. Let me move the pentacle up. Okay. Yes, I'm leaving out the little white book because I don't know his language yet, and so This is not a tarot deck. And I'm going to read it intuitively, but I'm going to leave it out in case I need some guidance. I'm going to just jump to his book, right? Because he wrote the book, but, you know, let's kind of give him the kudos. And if he has some guidance that will help me understand his oracle, I'm open to it. So. How does that sound, by the way? Can you guys hear me clearly? In a world where poodles eat too many tacos, one lone virgin warrior I can't do it. See, this is why I'm not an actor. This is the reason. It would take me 17 takes to do like one stupid joke. You are poodle. But yeah. Wow. Two poodles. One taco. Kill me. Oh my God. First, there was corn. Then there was beef. And now, the voyage. To cilantro y sour cream. Starring Antonio Banderas. The mysterious beyond the... Dude, what is happening? Because whatever it is, I'm loving every minute of this. I can't. This is fucking gold. Oh my God. The blowout. From the makers of... Alright, who would do this movie? From the makers of The Big Lebowski. And... what else did they do? It was Coen Brothers, right? Coen Brothers did Big Lebowski. This summer blockbuster. Brought to you by Last Night's Dinner. The sequel to The Voyage to Cilantro and Sour Cream. From the makers of The Mysterious Beyond of Diarrhea, we bring you The Blowout. Two girls, one taco, non-stop action. I can't. Alright, enough. Alright. Whew. Alright. You realize now, we're just gonna get poop readings all night. Like, everything's just gonna be poop readings. Like, someone's gonna come in and say, can I get my name on a list? I'm like, yeah, sure. What can I help you with? Oh, I was just wondering, what does Johan really think of me? Let's find out. He thinks you're full of shit. I think, no, you're mod, Vesta. You can swear. think you're allowed to say shits because you're mod. I don't think it's gonna because I don't think it's gonna put anything you write in review. I hope not. That's great though, and don't worry, I have the channel set so like not for kids and all that. That's great. That's funny stuff though. A rebirth. Here's Johnny. That's hysterical. Oh my god. Oh man. Who does number 2 work for? Okay. Oh my god, I'm crying. Thank you. Awesome. Oh, that was the best. Okay. All right. What should we read about? Oh no, Mudbutt. Oh my god. Volume 1. That's funny. No, it's got to be volume 3. You gotta so that implies that there's 2 that you don't know of. All right, like Leonard Part 6. The first 5 are classified. But yeah, that's funny stuff. So okay, we're done. Too much. I could use the oracle to determine what we should read about, or I could use the tarot. I mean, no, we can use the oracle to determine what we should read about. Like, why not? How do you guys feel about that? Should I use the oracle to figure out what to read about, or if there's a subject you guys want to look at, we can look at that. What's going on? Anything significant in the world? I've been completely out of the loop for quite a while, and I just learned today. Cool. How was you? So we're going to do a general reading for Vesta. I just learned today that oh my god, we'll see. Gallagher died. I didn't know that. Right? I didn't know that. Apparently he was older than I thought. And, yeah, I remember him years ago smashing watermelons, right? Chocolate sprinkles. I've been trying to do better with my diet. I have. Actually, I'm in a different place. I'm trying to gain weight. And so I started kind of being a little bad and kind of eating stuff that I usually wouldn't. And I'm trying to eat more than normal. We'll see. I haven't put on one yet, but I think I will. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so let's do a general. And that said, I'm going to start with the oracle. And I'm going to say, here's the significator. Here is the vector of the reading, right? And then we'll go from there. So. Does that work? I mean, I don't want it to be like give me a heart attack weight gain. You know what though too? I'm not so hot eating in the morning. I'm not a breakfast person. Although I do eat breakfast for dinner a lot. And I eat breakfast for lunch often. A over medium, but with a liquid yolk, right? Toast, bacon, some type of fried potato or starch. But like, I don't know. I can't eat first thing in the morning. Although maybe I could do a smoothie, but you know, I don't know. I used to do spinach, kale, and blueberry for breakfast. A star. There's all kinds of goodies here. Cool. Yeah, see, I don't know. I mean, if I was going to do a smoothie, I would just use the Ninja. Like, just blend it up and go that route, right? But one of the things I like to do, actually, is banana and peanut butter. Banana, peanut butter, and strawberry, blueberry, banana, and peanut butter with almond milk and ice. Isn't so bad. I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm kind of stuck doing almond milk. But, yeah. Can you mix up a meal? You know, there's one interesting thing. For instance, I did I was very close with a couple that I did work for that owned a couple restaurants. They're an Asian couple. They're from China. Different parts completely. But they brought their flavors together to create this Mexican Asian fusion noodle bar, and it's kind of great. Anyway, long story short, they said, you know, they think that the American diet is strange because their breakfast is pretty heavy. Their breakfast consists of a protein like a beef or duck, and you know, potato or other, and it's a heavy meal, I don't know. It just seems not natural to me, but obviously it would be if I had grown up differently to have a heavy meal first thing. But apparently you know, they're doing just fine, right? People who have that kind of diet do just fine, and people who have a different diet can do just fine. Acai bowls, really. What else would you put in there? Quinoa and chocolate. Acai, quinoa, and chocolate actually doesn't. Sounds like that might work. But yeah, so star. Now we can also have, you know, include some guidance from the tarot, and we're going to do that in a sec. But let's look at the star symbol first. First of all, it's an eightfold symmetry, but it's not, is it? It's two fourfolds. Right? We have a gold star and we have a silver star. So what are we looking at there? The unification of masculine and feminine. We're looking at the Merkaba. Steak and egg eating grandmother for breakfast, because that's awesome. Yeah, I had a pretty cool grandma too with the food, but that's awesome. Steak and eggs for breakfast is pretty good. I'm a fan of the T-bone. There's something about a T-bone in the morning where you get that soft one on the other side of the T, right? Love that. Goes great with eggs. So you get the idea here. What we're talking about is this. And now you're looking at it from the top or the side, right? And now, but what we're referring to here is this idea of the ascent and descent, right? The one is going up, one's coming down. So, or more importantly, like if you look at the symbol, one of them is pointed down and is spinning in one direction, and one's pointed up and is spinning in the other direction. And that counter rotation is the play of the polarity in gender, right? The one on top is the masculine, or the masculine. You know, it's a point, and then the feminine. And they're in the process of they basically are once they connected, said, yeah, let's stay here. I know I meant to descend, and I know you meant to ascend, but nah, this is cool. Right? I'd rather dance. And so we just see this counter-rotating force, which is just a constant increase in energy until it becomes literally infinite. Like this energy increase is constant and infinite. And so that said, though, there's also some symmetry here, which I think is interesting. We have from each point is emerging a line but there's also points in the centers, right? And so if we count the lines, I imagine there's 16 of them, starting from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right? Which is also like the court cards. And it's a kind of a nice symmetry there. And then we have the idea of the Six of Cups, right? And now, depending upon the deck that you're, which we're actually, maybe I'll just pull one out of the. Did I have this elsewhere? Where's the other one? I'll have to check the camera later and see where I put it down. So let me pull it out of the rider the deck that's sitting here so you can actually see this again. Funny, you actually won't be able to see it. This deck doesn't show up too good on camera. Maybe I'll pop the digital version instead. This is the one with the child kind of approaching an older man. It's not going to work. Holding a cup out to offer it to somebody. So it's an idea of like of generosity. It's like the idea of a giving in to provide joy. Like the child comes up and this person is taking the time to dote on them and hand them the flower and have the experience with them. It's sort of like this idea of emotional giving. With the intent of spreading joy. Right. If you look at the cups, this person willfully chose to repurpose them into flower pots to plant these flowers with the intent of bringing joy, right? And that's sort of the idea here. And so the sixes usually offer a symbolism respect to works of some kind, right? This is the product of that. Like the Six of Wands as an example of, you've made it through the fight and I've gained the respect, and so you're up on your horse with your crown on. This is somebody that's in the same thing, but from the respect of the heart. And so there's a lot of it's a joyous, positive energy. And so when you kind of put all these things together, what we're supposed to be reading about here is kind of like the crux of where the tarot is about to go. Is the idea of this unification of the higher and the lower, the masculine and the feminine, the older, the younger, the wise and the ignorant, combining to create joy. So, or not, if it's held back. But really, what this is referring to here is the realization of something that is emotional, and that thing is has to do with a connection with two. Right, the six here is the two, and the relationship is specifically one of responsibility to someone's feelings and how you approach that. You have power. You have the power to cause joy or pain. You have power to motivate or to demotivate, right? Power to craft somebody else's emotions. And that when you have that responsibility, there's consequences emotionally to your actions. And so we're just going to keep that as the sort of the crux of what we're like, where we're going to go with the reading. And so I'll just kind of put this up here and I'll stick it in the bowl. And we'll have that just kind of there as we go through the reading here. And now, let's get a good view. Is this a decent one? This isn't a bad view either. And actually, well, we're more inner order. But, yeah. Let's put these aside. Now these I'm going to shuffle again since I pulled that 6 out. And let's just get that mixed up in there. I got to tell you guys something funny that happened in church this Sunday. During my pastor's sermon, she does 2 sermons, and one of them is a children's sermon, and so it's kind of a lighter message, and it's geared toward children, so it's not as heavy of a doctrine type message. And so it's so funny. The message was about predicting the future. And so I just sat there with my mouth shut and listened. But it was really funny because one of the things that she talked about, she took some pennies out of her pocket and she said, "Did you ever try to predict, like it was just classic." And she says, "And how often do you get it right? Like 2, 3 out of 10?" Even after the service was over, I resisted the urge to give her the link to my video where I publicly showed that it's a lot higher than 2 or 3. But then thought, no, let's not do that. Let's not go there. It would almost like disrespect the sermon, It's just like disrespect the message, which in a lot of cases is probably what the person needed to hear. But I felt weird because I completely wholesale disagreed with that and felt that. Look at this. I developed tools to help create intuition and develop psychic ability in children, which and to reinforce. They're born with it, so to reinforce it, and I believe it can be awoken in virtually anyone, right? So if your Mikey is 90%, I missed the reference. Although that's cool that you call me Mikey. I love that. But so I don't I don't know what you mean. 90%, I don't know. I guess I missed the... You must remember I'm channeling. Half the time I don't even know what I'm saying until I listen to it after. And it's truth. I mean that. It's in its sense true. So let's see what's here. Oh my gosh, I just realized, the coins. What is wrong with me? I need to sleep. The coin flips, right? Yeah. You predicted a bad trip and didn't follow through. Wow. So, what does Vesta need to know with respect to the star? Because, the tarot, too, as far as with respect to the major arcana version of the star, has some very interesting symbolism. I mean, you know, the first symbol people usually look at when they see the star is enlightenment, which is true from a certain degree, but that's certainly not the only message, and that's not enough to really get to the heart of what the star card means, which is the product of that enlightenment, which is the remembering who you are. Because at the end of the day, the star is referring to the fact that every man and every woman is a star. You know, we're not just, you know, a flesh body vehicle for our brains or our egos, or, you know. But what the star refers to is the idea of the mental state, the emotional state, the physical state, the spiritual state of being in unison and knowing the truth. When you come to the one truth and you know who you are, and you are in direct conversation with yourself, the reality that we are, that's the star. So it's more than just enlightenment. It's what that enlightenment creates, which is more accurately, I think, called an undoing. It's getting rid of the things that you aren't, and then what you wind up being left with is the thing that always was. The Two of Cups, or I'm sorry, the Two of Pentacle. And this is again gonna maybe be a little hard to see on the screen there, but this one came up all right. It's the Two of Pentacle. Arlo just made a little squeak. He's sleeping and he squeaked. He's so cute. I can't. He's so handsome. He's a little guy. Wheel of Fortuna. Oh, I don't know if you saw that or not here. Page of Swords, Princess in the Third System, Death. Interestingly, Death is the card that leads to the star. This is how you get to the star. This is the only way to get to the star. Through the moon, which leads to the abode of the hermit. Anyway, we'll get there. Why 4? Because reasons. Now, so what we're doing here is these 4 cards are completely invisible on the screen. Oh my god. Yep, Okay, so, yeah. All right, I need a little piece of paper to reflect something. I'll use my little dry erase napkin. Okay, so that'll give us enough contrast where you can actually see the cards, right? So right here is death, right? And then we have the wheel. 2. That one was, wow, look at that texture. That's great. That's actually visible on the card, right? That's part of the backing, is the lilies and the roses. But when you put it down, you can't see it. And so it's almost like it emerged. It was like, wow. Nifty. Okay, anyway. Yeah, that's it. I promise you I'm stone cold sober right now. But yeah, all kidding aside, this is what joy sounds like. All right, so death is in the will position. The way I'm reading these cards right here, right now, is basically that the first position card is your will, the wands section. The second card is your higher world self, we're talking about, is your sword, your mind. Then we have the third position, which in the higher world is your cup. And then finally, the pentacle in the page of swords. Right? And so, wow. Yeah, I've got to figure this out. These are probably not the best deck for a live stream. They're great in person. This one might be a little more visible on a live stream. Let's see, is that? Not same problem. It's just dark. The lighting is not so great in here right now. I have to figure that out. But anyway, let's just get to the crux here. The will is to die. Your will is to grow and to change. Your will is to be open to the fact of the recognition that is the process. Right? This is your higher self. This is not Vesta. This is you. Right? Where Vesta we're going to get to with the other deck on the bottom. Okay. The will of the higher and the lower self are typically aligned, just not directly. It's not apparent how, but it's always connected. And so we're going to see that when we get there. The second area here is the mind, divine mind, which is the wheel of fortune. And so what's being installed into your heart? Divine mind installs into the heart. In the state of the cup in the lower world. The order, the divine order in the lower world, where we are, is wand, cup, sword, pentacle. The divine order in the higher world is wand, sword, cup, pentacle. So the sword installs into the heart. And the thing that sword is trying to tell you, your higher mind is trying to make you feel emotionally that the idea of the Wheel of Fortune. Now, what does the Wheel of Fortune refer to? It refers to a couple of things here. The outer order version of this is that the wheel is always turning. Time, cycle. And that is indicative here also of the idea of tarot, rota, ator, orat, and so forth. All the ways that you can, and also the Yehovah, the Yud Hey Vav Hey is in there as well. You can use this wheel to kind of determine different systems, right? There's the zodiacal wheel. There's all different ways that idea can be used. But the real symbol of the Wheel of Fortune is this interesting dichotomy between 4 and 3 being the main elements in the middle here. You've got the one on the top, the 2 on the sides, and the wheel is always rotating, which changes which one's on top. And then the 4 of the the directions here. We have Scorpio, Aquarius, and then Leo and Taurus, right? Which is really pretty. They're all winged in this scene here. And then in the inside here, we have the Sphinx, a serpent, and what looks like a dog figure. Right? That's the star Sirius. That's the constellation of Ophiuchus, right? And we talked about that many times. And then there's that Sphinx on top. Now, the thing here is that wheel will turn, right? And Sirius will wind up on top, and then Ophiuchus will be coming up from underneath. And that locks us into a very interesting scene. And that scene is the end of the Age of Taurus. Right? And I've showed that statue on the show here about a month ago, I guess. Maybe a little bit more, but I think it was about a month ago. And so that's the idea of what we're really looking at in the card, the actual just truth told openly, is the precession of the equinoxes. And it refers to the fact that we are moving into a new age. You know, we talk about that the wheel turns and that you have to hop off, or that the wheel is always turning. And so if you're at the bottom, you're going to be at the top. And if you're at the top, you're going to be at the bottom. So don't get too comfortable wherever you are. And there's truth in that. But that's the lower world reflection. This is your higher self talking to you. And what it refers to is this idea that ages change. And that's a constant. You can't avoid that. And as we change and move through these ages, so does our understanding, so does our enlightenment, so does our the language that we tolerate societally and individually, and also the crux of the lens that we use to view the world is greatly altered. And so the energy that we're in right now is a decidedly masculine war, religion as the basis, societal religion, right? Doctrine, dogma. And that is changing, right? We're moving into a feminine energy. And part of what we're seeing is the result of that. But now, in the negativity in the world, all this war, it's kind of the death throes of the old way. Like, it's not going quiet, right? But that's okay. It's still going, and it's unstoppable. It will change, and we're in the midst of that now. We're in the midst of this grand change. And so the mind is trying to install the feeling in your heart of the fact that you are going through this process, but more importantly, you've actually already kind of done that, meaning that this death is not your first one. And when we get through to this idea of the movement into the new age, you're kind of already there. You kind of hopped off the wheel a while ago. Karmically, energetically, spiritually. Now, in the heart section, which is utilized to basically wash clean the profane mind, the heart is what speaks to our minds. Now, that's not always apparent because, unfortunately, the things that we hear, the thoughts that we hear, are filtered through the ego. Okay, so the thoughts come down through divine, and then they are caught by the ego, and the ego then decides what it's going to let through, and then you hear the thoughts and you identify with those, and then we speak them as truth. But now the reality of the situation is that the only thing we actually hear is what the ego tells us. That's even if we've integrated the ego. It's even if we've destroyed it, which you can't. You just recognize that it's you and you take agency back. But anyway, that said, we can't not hear the voice of the ego because it's the thing that chooses the words. It's the thing that speaks them in our mind. So we recognize that fact. And when we recognize that, it lets us use it. So divine heart washes over our mind. And then through the proper enrollment of the ego and recognizing it's who we are, we're able to then make sure that when the ego speaks, it speaks our words. It speaks our truth, not its words and truth, not its agenda, but the only agenda that matters. Now, in this particular circumstance, that in your case is the Two of Pentacle. The Two of Pentacle is really interesting because it refers to the two bodies. The Two of Sword is holding two thoughts in your mind. The Two of Pentacle is two bodies, but not identifying with either. It's kind of the idea of there being a decision to be made of which one you're being at any given moment. Like you have the capacity to sort of change that. Or, oh, pardon me, my gosh, my body just went, dude, go to sleep. Nope. It can also mean not just two versions of yourself, but this could also mean two ways of being, two individuals that you play off of, or two modes of thinking that are very, very unique, that don't necessarily wind up connecting if you allow it. But your higher self is attempting to instill its feeling into your mind of a discomfort in that duality. It's craving the oneness. Hello. Let's try to read that word for a moment. I'm going to say Samak Mem Yud Vow. Samido? Shmido? Sure can. You can ask a question, no problem. I'm in the middle of a reading right now, but it won't be too long, and then you can be next. So just go ahead and put your question in the chat. And, I'll be there soon. Okay, so and the question here is your higher self is kind of having this idea, this like discomfort with the fact that it's not comfortable with the duality, and so it's kind of looking for a more singular circumstance here. There's an idea that it's causing you a little bit of issue with your connection between your body and your mind. And it's kind of becoming maybe an issue with respect to inviting certain entities, certain energies into your life because you're distracted spiritually. Which is sad because you're super strong, you're pretty powerful energy, right? You know that, but that doesn't mean anything if it's not focused, right? And so it can lead to there being a vulnerability that doesn't need to be there, right? And that vulnerability is a big deal with respect to entities entering your space and how you could, potentially overcome that. But here, my gosh, sorry, I can't believe I'm yawning like all big. I don't typically yawn on camera, right? I'm usually, even though I'm exhausted, I'm kind of like, but the final here is the pentacle, the body, the divine form is the Page of Sword, which is the idea of the earthy part of air, or the bodily part of mind, the brain, right? Which directs everything. But also, specifically, it's the idea of wanting to speak, make manifest this, the procession. You want to help bring people into the new age, right? So, please. Okay. Let's do this. Maybe I will. Sajini, how's it going? What's going on? Doing really well. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad that it was a good trip. Made a couple changes to the desk here. Just, die daily so that you can rebuild. But so the Page of Sword is to bring manifest the idea of the procession, meaning that you want to bring people to the new age, into the new age. You want to bring people into the thing, right? Dear, please answer me. I promise you I will. I haven't completed the reading that I'm with yet, but I guarantee you that when we do come to you, I will give you 100% attention, and I don't rush. Okay? You will be the center of my work when I get to you, I promise. Okay? And I can simply ask for your patience, but I will say that it's up to you whether or not you give it to me. But that said, so it's when we're talking about making manifest divine mind, and in this particular circumstance, the thing that it's trying to do is the idea of the procession moving into a new age. It's really the idea similar to what death is talking about. I mean, death and the Wheel of Fortune are the same card. Let's be honest. One is just the method of the other. Moving in is there's no going back. Right. So that said, there's this feeling that you have inside that you have a participatory role in the amelioration of the human race is real. Okay, let me just make sure I got that out properly. The compulsion you feel in your soul to participate in others' awakenings is real and is correct. Hermosa diosa, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está usted? How to go about that is something that we could discuss, right? But I mean, there's you know, but at the same time, you know, there's the other side of this reading, which we'll get to here. I'm going to deal with Mrs., Mr., not sure, Mr., Mrs. Impatient Pants, and find some truth, and then see if Sagini needs some advice, because Sagini definitely needs advice, always, on different things. But yeah, here's some advice for you, Sagini. See in yourself what I see. That's the answer to everything. So let me just shuffle. I'm going to use a different deck for you. I'm not sure what to call you, so I'm going to call you Smido. 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 De nada. I'm glad. And now, why are you so good? Is it because you're recognizing the energy, right? It's like recognizing what's going on, and you're just like feeling great, or are you coming into yourself and you're like, yeah, I can feel it happening, all right? Good stuff. All right, let's keep that one out. Let's look at the question. I would love for you to send me a video. Yeah, you went to the beach. Absolutely, please do. My bank PO exam will be conducted. Okay, wow. Will I clear the exam? That's a serious question. Yes. And here's why I say that right away, just from dropping one card. And I'm going to continue, don't worry. But it's, yeah. My one card readings are real. I'm not just going to drop that. This is the Four of Wand. Okay, the Four of Wand is basically shape, the canopy has been put up on purpose as a celebration for somebody coming home in a state of elevation, right? So, but basically, yeah, you pass, and not only do you pass, but you're offered the position, and there's a party, there's a celebration because of that, right? And now also there are the individuals that are involved in the celebration are people that you haven't necessarily seen recently. So it's even like people coming out of the woodwork to come celebrate the event. So it becomes sort of a big deal. It becomes a communal celebration. Perhaps there's people that were involved in your choosing this direction. And they have some type of personal or emotional connection to you succeeding, And so they'll be very happy when it happens, but that's the case here, right? And when you're dealing with any of the energies that are related to 4 are a positive, complete, solid, sturdy, reliable energy. And in this particular circumstance, this is the wand, and the wand refers to the will. And so what this is really ultimately saying is related to the question or the thing that you're interrogating, that whatever the subject is in this circumstance, what your will is, rather, what the will is in this circumstance, is solid, reliable, complete, right? And so it's a positive answer with respect to polarity, a yes or no type thing, like a binary answer. This would be a yes. And so across the board, it's about celebrating, it's about homecoming, it's about elevation, it's about promotion, it's about positive, it's about yes, it's all good news with respect to that, right? And so that's how I feel. The will also, 4 is this sturdy shape, but 4 is also significant in this particular circumstance with respect to the will, because what this refers to is that the will was unified. And so as it unfolds into the mind, the heart, the body, and things that come from that, each one of those, the mind will be unified with the will, the heart will be unified with the will, the body will be unified with the will. And those 4 together create this canopy. What the canopy actually is a reflection of your body when you're in unison, okay? When you're in unison, right? Okay. Okay. I'm just catching up here on the... Great. Okay, so, and I would also say, congratulations. So, it's important that you take this piece, if you're still here, it's important that you take this one piece with you. Walk in knowing that you're going to get this. You got this. And let yourself have it. Right? When is the test? You said February. Let me just scroll back. Let's see what the... Okay, February, good, yeah. So, yes, okay, so it's great news. So walk in January, February, confident. You got this, okay? And it gives you the opportunity to just go in with ease, recognizing, like, cool, I just got to go in here and do what I know I can do, and it's going to work out well, right? And so consider that. Make sure that you do that, right? And if you need a reminder, there's my phone number, WhatsApp, email, direct message, whatever the case. I answer. Comment on the video, either way, and I'll reach out and we'll reiterate at the time. We want to make sure that when you walk into that exam that you recognize that, oh yeah, that's right, that guy on the internet reminded me that I got this. And so I'm happy to do that again. I'll give you another reminder in a month right before the test, and we'll make sure that you're feeling nice and confident when you walk in there. How you feel on that day has a lot more to do with how you score than the facts you stuffed in your head, right? The things you're being asked to put on the paper, that's important, but what's more important is how you feel when you go to take that test. Because if you're feeling stressed or nervous or anxious, it's going to affect how you recall, it's going to affect how you present. All those things are going to matter, right? And so rather take the deep breath and calm, walk in knowing you got this. You know what you're doing, don't sweat it, and know that it's a positive, happy ending, and so you can be confident in that, right? And when you're in the pocket, when you're feeling good, you can really almost channel the truth. You just almost act. You don't even think. You're just there getting the answers out, right? And so just remember that and go there. And let yourself have that, okay? And if you need any other advice, let me know. I'm happy to help you out. And if you, again, need a reminder in a little bit, right before you take the exam, I'm available. Okay, so just reach out and whatever works. And thank you for coming into my stream. I really appreciate you coming in. At least to me, you're a new face. If you haven't been here before, then I appreciate it. And welcome. This is a great crowd. Everybody here is, we're all here for the same reason. We take what we do seriously here. And there's a lot of love, okay? And so there's a lot of support. And that's available to you if you want it. So thank you again. All right, so quickly, let's take a look at Sigil. What beach did you go to? Which coast? Did you stay where you are? Are you in or did you leave the country, or did you is it like just a local excursion? I haven't been to a beach in a while. It's been quite some time since I've been to a beach. And I forgot to say, if you found any value in the reading, just like the video and consider a comment. It makes a big difference, and I would appreciate it. So let's see. I don't know if Sajini had put in a question or not. I'm so happy you're here, by the way. I'm glad you had a good time and that you got out. That was a biggie. You need to. Guys, of course, yes. Cool. All right, I guess we're caught up. So, where did I want to go? Make sure I'm not missing anything that I wrote down. I've wanted to continue to cover the axioms, and I kind of stopped. But I can either read the axioms, or there's some things I wanted to maybe cover in Duquette's book on the Crowley Thoth. So we have a couple of options, right? And you guys tell me what would you prefer to do, or we can just continue to do divination, right? We can do some I Ching, we could do some oracle, we could do some more tarot. Pull out the beads. There's a lot we can do. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna go heat my coffee up real quick, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, and if anyone else has any questions or wants anything, like a quick reading, then I'd love to do that, right? And we can even use some of these techniques together, the way we've been doing, to really get to the heart of what we're doing. That said, actually, on that note, there's something I did a couple of streams back that I really wanted to continue to do, and so I'm going to do that now. Anyone who wants to participate that has a tarot deck, go grab it. I'm going to go on my break here in a moment and heat up my coffee and so on, so you have some time. Maybe about 5 or so minutes. So go grab your tarot deck, start shuffling, okay? Great. All right, awesome. This one's for Hermosa. And then Kitten, no problem. So then perfect. And so if you have a specific question, then let me know, okay? And I'll do a general for Kitten, okay? So that said, anyone who would like to, go grab your deck, shuffle it, and then we'll get together. Oh, you do? Perfect. Great. I know there's a few people here that do. And if you do and you want to participate, get it now. Just start feeling it. Don't have any intention. Just kind of get the cards, get your energy in there, and get them mixed up, and then we'll go from there. And I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll go from there. Alrighty. So, good, awesome. We have a couple decks out tonight. That's great. I just want you to read my energy with no intention. I'm open to. Okay, great, perfect. My favorite kind. Really getting to the heart of what we're trying to, what you need to hear. That's the goal. Like, what is it you need to hear? And I'm feeling Thoth, and so that's what we're going to read. We're going to read the Crowley Thoth. That's the deck I'm going to use right now. Okay. You guys can hear me okay with the mic over there? Is the audio fine? Let me know if it's not. Cut and we'll be good to go. Let's use the oracle just like we did last time to kind of figure out what direction to go. Why not? Lightning. Three of Wand, lightning. The strike, the flash of enlightenment, the flash of divine spark. When it comes to the elements, the lightning is fire. It refers to the wand, the will. Right now, if you see, that's two lightning bolts. And so what we're referring to here is the cloud of the storm can also refer to and to illustrate the two competing wills. But this is a three, which refers to the fact that every two has a third. And if you see how the card progresses, we have the higher world version in the clouds. That's sort of behind the scenes. We can't really see it, but it is there. And then what we do see is it emerge as one of these lightning bolts. The second one is our sort of like higher mind, but that's not divine, right? This is like our subconscious, the ego. Okay, and that's referenced by another one of these lightning flashes as well. And then there's you on the bottom, who you think you are, which is actually a combination of these two things. These are all each the same person from a different perspective. So there's no difference between your divine self, the hermosa, diosa, and the person in the middle, which is that subconscious middle, and then the one on the bottom, which is the one we think we are walking around in our body. There is actually no difference. The only real difference is our perspective on it, right? It's how we view ourselves. And which one we view determines how we act, our behavior. Right? And now behavior is really just a reflection of the personality, of the character that we make up and pretend that we're being. Okay, so the idea of this card is who are you being? Right? Because who you're being is going to determine your behavior. Like the things that you do, how you react, how you, the things you seek, the things you put value toward. Right? Your currency changes. And currency is important because that's what brings you joy, right? And so what you value determines what you want, and then what you receive determines how you, whether you read that as joy or not. I got invited today to, wow. That's funny, really. You should give him my number, because you can't kill the ego. It's impossible. But that's just language. I'm sure they're doing good work. I kid. I'm not kidding, but I do kid. It's just language. They're probably on the right path. But it comes down to understanding what the ego is and integrating it. My opinion of that is perhaps different. Yeah, good. Yeah, and the way to do that is to, you know, recognize what's actually happening and take it in emotionally, look at it mentally, and then think about both together. That's the point, which is really the same thing as far as this. Let's put that so it can be seen. The Princess of Cup. The Princess of Cup is the idea of wanting to bring into physical manifestation the desire of the heart. You like to and want to make real what's here. It's like you have the fantasy, but you're tired of that. That's not enough. Now you want to make it real. And the way that you go about doing that is through various means, but it's the idea of communicating, finding the words to almost like an image board, right? Do you guys remember those back in the day, like when everyone was all about The Secret? And so you have to go out and you get your manifestation board, and you put down and you cut out the car, and you cut out the guy, and you cut out the job, and the whole, and you put, you know, and then you put it up and you look at it every day and to manifest. Similar idea, but you're using your words to do it through the language of emotion. Interesting. The Chariot is the idea of the vehicle of that. But the Chariot requires unification to take place, meaning that the Chariot can't move unless there is a unification, unless there is a conversation between the person that's in the Chariot and the animals in the front that pull it. Because if the animals in the front aren't enrolled in your will, they're not going to move, and neither will the Chariot. And if you're not enrolled with them, then you're going to attempt to steer it in a different direction than them, and then you could crash, right? So the idea here is that if the two are in unison, good things. That's the outer order meaning. It also refers to the sign Cancer, which, you know, Cancer refers to, well, there's a number of different ways to look at Cancer, but within the context of this, it's the idea of that competing force, that idea of these two lightning bolts, the idea of the dynamic nature of change, right? And of the cycle of that, the fact that it's constant. Regardless, it's constant. The Chariot is also, incidentally, the Merkaba. Merkaba means chariot. It's the chariot of the soul. It's the vehicle for the soul. And so, when you consider everything that I just said, the Cancer, the two unified, the two lightning bolts that lead to the third person, the fact that there's this higher and lower self that needs to be enrolled in the process in order to move, is all pointing to the same thing. Which is that who you are being determines the words you use when you speak your heart, and that's what you manifest. So if you're finding yourself in a state of joy, that means that you're unified, and the message that you are hearing and speaking, and then feeling and speaking, are the same. Good. Okay, I'm going to pull one more card, and then the fourth one is going to be you guys, okay? And we're going to start with you since it's your reading. And then I'm going to go to Kitten, and who else has a card? If anyone else who is going to participate, just give me a thumb up in the chat so I know that you're going to, and I can call on you when the time comes to pull your card and tell me what it is. And you're going to be first. This is the Three of Pentacle, or Disc. And this refers to action being taken, but not alone. Okay, Okay, so this is the energy here is Mars in Capricorn, which is, imagine Mars in Capricorn as somebody who takes a leadership role because they have the best idea. This isn't this isn't taking the leadership role from a dominant perspective. Okay, good. This is a leadership role from the respect of you have the best idea. You're the most together as far as the plan, and so people are going to say, okay, well, let's listen to her. She's got the right idea. But then there are roles that are assigned, and each person has their role, and they become a cog in that wheel, right? And each one has to kind of do its own thing to make this solid thing happen. This tetrahedron in the middle, this here's what it looks like in solid matter. I think it's, looks like that. Okay. This is the simplest three-dimensional object possible. Right? You have three points, and then the fourth point, as long as it doesn't happen to land on the same plane as those three, makes this shape, which is literally the simplest three-dimensional object that's possible. Using angles. Personally, I think the most simple three-dimensional object possible is this, right? The sphere. But that said, though, they're kind of like analogs of each other. The perfection of the sphere, and then the solid object of the rules being unfolded. And that's that shape there in the middle in this card, and that only exists when there's the unification of those three. Can't happen otherwise. And that's the same exact message right now. And so it's the idea here of the allowing that process, and that when you are speaking your heart, that you make sure, because this is referring to the ego, this is relevant. And I'm going to start asking people to pull their cards in a second. What we're going to be looking at, and the first card I'm going to, when you pull it, is going to be the Pentacle, and it's going to tell me what is it if nothing changes right now based on your current environment, socially, spiritually, what are you manifesting, right? Who you're being is going to determine what you speak, and what you speak determines what you manifest. Okay, so right now, this is for Hermosa Diosa. Pull your card, tell me what it is, and then I'll fish it out and put it down, and so we can look at it together. And we'll have the Crowley version here that's going to be relevant. Okay, so which card did you get? And then I'm going to go to Kitten and Shushu to build that up. So the fourth card is going to be what you got. And then I'm going to take Kitten, Shushu, me, and then you last again. Okay. We'll see how that all comes together. Queen of Cups, awesome. Popped out, even better. That's great. Okay, Queen of Cups is awesome. Water all over the place. Water all over the place. The queens, all the queens are water. The Queen of Pentacle is the watery part of Earth. The Queen of Wand is the watery part of fire. The Queen of Cup is the watery part of water. She is feeling all over the place. Can be, for lack of a better word, emotionally unstable. Now that doesn't mean negative. It's easy to hear the word unstable and think bad, but what it does mean is that there's a lot of ebb and flow emotionally. Emotion for her is her predominant state, and it changes. There's not a single sensation. The emotion is constantly in a state of change, and can be. Let me get it out of here. I know exactly what she looks like, so it'll be a quick one for me to find. And let's shuffle this, because I saw like 7 cards. And now she's also the mature version of the princess, right? This is the Princess of Cups realized. The Princess of Cups because of her activity in communicating her heart in order to make it physically manifest, she does that. It becomes a thing that you can see. And then what that does become inadvertently is the object of the desire of a man. And now he wants to win her. And now she's not just going to be like, oh, no problem, here I am. She's like, no, you got to prove yourself. And how you do that is you go through my trials. And if you succeed in the trials, you can have me. Right? And so now the trials happen. The work gets done. She becomes elevated to the Queen of Cups. He's no longer here. He's satisfied his role. So that said, that's where this queen comes from, is the thing physically manifest as you as a higher being. You as a promoted version of yourself emotionally. From the princess, who is just there to just give it, but then recognize, no, you know what, I think I want to maybe be discerning about that. I want to apply temperance to that process. And in doing so, you became greater than you were to begin with. Now, there's some important images here as well. The rays that are coming down from that top area there refer to her intuition. So her heart is her mind. Her thoughts are divine heart. There's some other occult symbolism, which is kind of out of the scope of this particular reading, but suffice it to say, it has to do with the crown chakra opening. And the idea of this flow of water energy, the elemental water, not physical water, which is again a function of the divine heart pouring down into the lower world, washing clean profane mind. Because profane mind is the source of wrong thinking, wrong decisions, of not respecting who we really are, which is literally divine. Okay, so Kitten, which card did you get? Right, yep, you grew up. Mm-hmm. And Shushu, why don't you tell me yours too so I can get them both out? I'll put mine down now. And unless it happens to be one that you guys pulled, it won't be an issue. Princess of Wand. Okay, so this is going to be Kitten. This is going to be Shushu. Kitten, Shushu. Okay, we're going to put them down underneath here. Kitten got a 2 of Pentacles. Shushu got Ace of Pentacles. 3 of Cups, both dropped at once. Okay. Ace of Pentacles, 3 of Cups. All right, well, I'm going with that then. I'm going with that. So let's start with Kitten. 2 of Pentacles. Okay. Okay, then we have Shushu. Ace of Pentacles. What else did you say? 3 of Cups. Okay, Ace of Pentacles, 3 of Cups. I love the song. Every time I hear it, I think of, welcome to the smooth sounds of your soul, speaking to you all night long. So what we're looking at is a direct analog of the reading we just did, but in the lower world, right? So this is your higher self. This is your lower self. And so we're going to look at the difference between those two things with respect to the will, the mind, and the heart down here, the heart and the mind down here, and then the pentacles again. These two are unified. These two swap based on if you're in the higher or lower. Okay? So the will on the lower world is change. You're looking for something new, right? This is like you're kind of done where you are, and the will of the lower self of you is change. But more specific than that is this energy. It's Jupiter in Capricorn. Jupiter in Capricorn, okay? And so what does that mean? It's an idea of there being this kind of recognizing your size and wanting that to be the predominant thing, and sort of like but not from some cocky kind of place. It's really more of a matter of being comfortable in yourself so that you can execute the plan properly, like do what's right, what you know you're supposed to be doing, as opposed to, as opposed to going with other people's plans or sort of being very agreeable. This is a matter of saying, no, I think this is the right way, and sticking to that gun because it is, and coming off authoritative rather than defensive. Jupiter is fearless. Why? Because no one can touch him, right? When Jupiter walks in, everyone's like, whoa, and he's the biggest. And so there's no reason to be afraid. It just kind of walks in with kind of calm and saying, here, this is the way it is because I know this is right. And Capricorn is the idea too, this sort of energy of practicality, of common sense. And so it's kind of like what happens when you take the heart out of it and sort of just look at the situation from all angles. It becomes sort of obvious who you are in this, and that would facilitate the desire for change. Because very typically, we're not in a place that we could be, right? How many of us can say that we're totally where we think we should be and that we're happy with that, right? And if you are, then you're lucky. Put it in a bottle and sell it, and you'll be a billionaire. Because that's really the case. Very few people ever achieve that in their lives or even know that it's possible. And if you're on the path toward finding that, then you're better off than most people, like really, truly. And if you feel like you're close to getting it, then wow. Okay? And so I'm going to pause and ask how you feel, if you have any questions about anything that I've discussed so far. Do you need any clarification? Otherwise, I'll continue. Also, I want to say, it's a beautiful symbolism in the change card. Is the higher and the lower world being reflected in the colors. Right, like Frida Harris obviously did that on purpose. The white and then the black, right? The idea of the gray and yellow with the seed of fire and water, and down here it's the purple and yellow with the seed of water and fire, right? And there's sort of this like, I'm on that path. That's where I want to go. Okay, exactly, great, and it's already happening. Like you can already feel. You keep having all these things popping up that are pushing you toward learning the truth, and these different people coming into your life from the past, and you kind of having this energy about you that you're ready for this to happen and you're open to it, and it's all coming together. Perfect. That's and Capricorn's coming up a lot in this particular reading. These two directly, you have Mars and Jupiter in Capricorn. That's both like, that's a serious mojo of you saying, no, I got this, and like taking the leadership role. And here it's like just earning that just through the will, earning that just through your connection with the truth and kind of walking in with that authority. It's really awesome. Now here we have something different. This is where we first get some real change that happens in how these lay out. Because up here in the higher world, it's your mind and it's divine. In the lower world, it is your heart. And it's profane. It's being washed clean by divine mind. It's essentially the voice of God in your heart being spoken, and your heart hears it. And now the result of that is the Ace of Pentacle. And the Ace of Pentacle is literally possibility for manifestation. It's the thing that could be made into anything. It's the thing that all things come from. It is literally the manifest universe and all particles in it, ready to be arranged based on your will. Because don't forget, yeah, you are hermosa diosa, but you're also divine, the only thing that exists, the thing that spoke the universe into existence. What the pentacle is that universe, the playground that the unfolding happens in. And so inside of that playground is literally all probability, all possibility, all unfolding. And so the idea of you in the Princess of Cup making manifest your heart is appearing in the lower world as the idea of this raw possibility, which is so great because that's literally where you are. Now here's the danger, here's the warning. Careful what you manifest, because you are literally in a blank slate, powerful spot right now, and what you want to create, you're about to. All these synchronicities are happening, and it's good, but I'm not going with the flow. I've been an alchemist. I'm manifesting. I'm living, not existing. I'm protected. I love that. There is a difference, right, between kind of laying back and going where the river takes you, and then saying, you know what, I'm going to hop out for a sec, right, and start making and doing and doing and making. And if you get tired or you feel like a change of scenery, hop back in and let it carry you for a while, but good. And that's the next card, the tiger by the tail, right? This is the Princess of Wand. She wants to make manifest physically her heart. She wants to make manifest physically her will. And how does she do that? Through divine heart into mind. This is your mind, your thoughts, your voice, your communication. And what are you communicating? Straight up will. Not only straight up will, you're communicating the desire to make manifest your will. And that's how you do that. Like, you cannot manifest without communicating that. You have to enroll someone other than yourself. And who is that other? You, as the world. Me, the people in the chat, the people you work with, your love interest, the man in your life that you're interested in, whatever it happens to be. You need to enroll them in your will or it just won't happen. Right? Imagine having the power to create everything you want, but you sit in your house and don't tell anyone. I mean, what a wasted opportunity. Now, I'm not feeling that at all with you. You are ready to live and you're doing it. You're living. Very much, yes. Well, that's one of the things that's going to fall away in our work and moving forward is this idea of the ego being the one speaking instead of, well, no, it always speaks. The ego being the one to choose the words spoken. So when you take agency back from the ego and you use it as a tool, you integrate and recognize it's not separate. And you don't need to destroy it. What you need to do is to own it. Make it your employee and you the boss. And so it still speaks because you can't talk without your ego. Your ego, I'm speaking right now through lies. I'm speaking through the character I created called Michael. And that character is a 47-year-old character that I really know well, right? And so I just speak through this character. Now, I can't speak without it. It's the thing that talks. So we can't destroy the ego, but we can make it our slave. Recognize that it's a tool to us. And so it speaks our words. It speaks our truth. But it'll only do that if we take agency back. The Princess of Wand is the idea here of the will being made manifest physically. And so it doesn't necessarily bypass the ego, but it enrolls the ego in that process. So when you begin to communicate what you want to the other and enroll people in that process, you're enrolling in your true will, not the ego's. And again, that's because it's the emotion of your higher self, your higher heart, the truth of your heart entering the mind. And so this motivation here is for you to fearlessly become the tiger, let alone take it by the tail. Right. Cool. Oh, 2 books. Which books? How intriguing. great. You're in a good place right now energetically, and that's good. And as we move through this process and we get closer toward getting to that door and getting ready to open it and walk through, it's going to become even more calm, peaceful. Who moved my cheese? The idea is you need to change or you die. Mm-hmm. Wow. Another idea is to change by willfully dying. You know, I like the word die daily because the word die implies that there's no way to go back. There's no resurrecting the old self. The purpose is to let it go, and that letting go is permanent because that lets you rebuild. And it lets you also rebuild your understanding now of what the ego is. It lets you rebuild knowing that the what its function is in your life. Right? Yes, that's true. The only thing constant is change. Right? Which is so funny too, because the only real thing is the one unchanging thing. Isn't that beautiful? Exactly. Or find out that you don't like cheese and you look for something else. Right? That's the beauty of the change, is that you get to literally kind of say, you know what, I don't like that anymore. Or I like this thing that I used to like it, but then I stopped, or it doesn't matter. Actually, you get to just decide in the moment. That's the thing, because you're already doing that. The whole point of the secret of change is that it's already happening. You're always changing. Now, it may not seem that way, and if it doesn't, that's because we're just agreeing with what's there and not being open to the change. But we're always in a state of deciding anyway, so we might as well, go with that and take ownership of that, right? I'll read it. I have no problem reading it. Mm-hmm. I'll read it out loud. I'll read it to you and everyone else. Sure. I would love to. Absolutely. I'm always looking for good stuff. I read a lot too. I read a lot and I read fast. So that would be great. And now the last one, Three of Cups. Right, this one popped out of Shushu's deck. So this was kind of like you need to know this. So really pay attention. All right, so let's take a look at this. The Three of Cups is coming out in the Pentacle, the lower world Pentacle, right? This is the place of where you want to... cool, thank you for that. Oh, I will definitely read it, this is what you are making manifest now based on where you currently are in the lower world. And look what you're manifesting. Abundance. Now, why is the Three of Cups significant? Who are these people? Is this you and your girlfriend and like that guy that made you feel good? No. These are all you, right? This is your higher self, your ego, and your body all in unison. Okay. Good stuff. The energy here is Mercury in Cancer. So now take the Capricorn of the change. This is Cancer, by the way. I mean, there it is, right? Take the Capricorn energy in Jupiter and realize it as Mercury. Jupiter is this fearless kind of energy, and then Mercury is like knowing what to do to get it done. It's just awesome. Yeah. And they're being filled from every angle. Like there's all kinds of connections here, right? From those yellow flowers, from above, from below, from all over the place. Yep. Perfect. Great. You get it. So yeah. Any questions? You want me to clarify anything? Or are we good? Yeah, it's okay to be selfish during this period of time, especially. Yeah. And worried, that's a good one. Like, make sure that you're the one handled first, but you want to spread that joy and love, and to enroll people in this person you're becoming, right? Especially people who are close to you, your best friends, or people who are, if you have any lovers that you're re-entertaining in your life, enroll them in this, right? And that you're becoming this new person, and who it is that you're hoping to become, and your idea about how you're going to go about doing that, right? But it's very positive. And this is also this cool energy here. If you notice that the top cup is being filled by 2 flowers. And then the cup itself is feeding the ones underneath, right? That top cup is the one feeding the ones underneath. And so that's really interesting. Because it's sort of like, if you really think about what's happening here, it's a cycle. The water from below is going through the tubes back down into the higher self, and then that's coming back down into these two, which pour into the bottom, which then feed the top one again. And so what you're seeing here, in one word, is conversation. This is the conversation between the higher and lower self, enrolling the ego in the truth, so that it's one unified message being spoken, right? That's good, yeah, because it's useless for you to try to help people if you're empty, right? I try it all the time, but it never works when I try and I'm empty. What you have to do is allow yourself to be filled up by the necessity. This is a little message that Elise Nielsen from my church sent me, and I stuck it in my card of the day holder. You are rich in everything. In faith, in speaking, in knowledge, in truly wanting to help, and in love. Thank you, Elise. That's a great message. There's something underneath there as well. Let's see what it is. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you. Did you hear that? Unbelievable. That prayer I just spoke is called the Three of Cups. Just to be clear, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you. So pretty. It's the same thing. This is a story spoken in the language of Christianity, but it's the same idea. it's really cool to be privy to all this growth, really, and to be asked to and to be allowed to participate in it. I'm the luckiest person I know. I really mean that. And the people that I've come in contact with during this process of kind of going out there publicly on YouTube and what's come from that, I can't say enough about. And everybody here that's been in the chat tonight is clarification that that's true, that this is right. It's just awesome. And this is important too as you go through this process. The community that's built here is really amazing, and so anytime you can pop in and really. And I plan on in the very near future, building this out to where people can come up and lecture, other than just me. Anyone who would like to participate in that, who feels like they have something to contribute, please let me know. Because as I go through it, we'll kind of plan subjects and the best way to go about that. But consider that, okay? So that said, I'm getting a little tired, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the evening on a reading the Axioms, going over a couple of more. I've covered several already. I think we're about halfway through the list, and I think it'd be nice to be able to go do that. No, I think we're both lucky. We're both lucky, and it's going to be cool. I can't wait, because I know how it ends, but it's going to be fun to watch the middle and see how this unfolds, right? And who you become on the other end is going to be kind of freaking amazing. I mean, really. So there's a couple that I began. We covered the law of worldviews and attention, right? The idea that the worldview and what that really means with respect to forming our actual universe, right? It's the thing that actually helps us to, not helps us, it's the thing that defines our world, right? And that definition literally crafts our reality from our perspective. The law of attention. The more evidence we look for, the more we find, right? And where we put our attention determines what we manifest, what we create, what we see. The law of synchronicity. There is an idea of meaningful coincidence, but it can also be seen as a dialogue between the higher and the lower self. The idea of synchronicity is not just meaningful coincidence. What it is the unfolding of the connection of the higher and lower self. When those two things are in unison, stuff happens. You see it here all the time when we do Gematria or when we do these weird connections, and it's just crazy. The law of relative truth. Every statement is true in one sense, false in one sense, and meaningless in one sense. And if you consider what that means, I mention here all the time the idea of every two has a third. That's kind of that manifested, right? Every fact is in itself also a falsehood and is also neither, just completely meaningless. And when you put those three things together, it begins to make more clear how all this unfolding took place to begin with. Where we live in that middle between the higher and the lower, the splashing between the counter-rotating forces of who we think we are and who we really are in the higher world. Pragmatism, the law of pragmatism. This is a great one for the Capricorns, right? If it works, it's true, and then we should do it again, because if we do it again, then we'll get the same result, right? It's the idea of common sense, practical application of knowledge, pragmatism, and that's it's an important science for interrogating truth. If you're looking at something and you're not sure, is it true, is it false, should I trust it, should I not? One of the best ways to go about that is to determine if it works. Does it work? Yes. All right. Sounds good to me. Does it work? No. Okay, well, maybe we have to reevaluate how we go about that thing, right? It's pretty basic. But, it's important because it also, it implies that you are not in a position to judge another person's feelings or thoughts or actions if it works for them. And they're not in a position to judge you either if it works for you. And so we really have to have, because of that knowledge, a natural tolerance for others and an intolerance for injustice, which is the act of denying somebody that. And so pragmatism is an important thing because it teaches us what works for us doesn't always mean it will work for somebody else, and what works for them doesn't mean it will work for us, and that's okay. We can't get hung up thinking that that's anything but okay. We're allowed to disagree. We're supposed to. Why are we here? Why did you manifest? Why did you manifest? To experience the possibility and the probability of the unfolding. Every single drop of every possible probable sensation. And so the way to do that is to you do your thing and feel your things and experience your things. And I'm going to go do my thing and feel my thing and experience my things. And they should be different. Since you and I are the same being, unfolding our experience at the same time from different perspectives, let that perspective be looking at a different object, a different setting, a different experience. And that's the point. We're all here to love each other, to love the stuff that we that comes into our space, and to know it to its fullest, to not miss any of it. That's the point. Don't miss anything. And then some very exciting things happen. Your decisions become kind of just sort of like flow. They're channeled. Because these things are in unison now. Your mind and heart are in unison. Your body is acting based on that, as opposed to desiring things that might not be good for you, right? Or that might damage your work. You're going to be in a position to not allow that to happen because the truth becomes more important. The law of paradox. There's an interesting thing about paradox, that two things can completely, totally conflict and yet still both be true, still work. Let's see, what the last one I went to was, I think we were at similarity. Resonance, that's right. Yeah, the cause and effect have resonance. A ritual that has caused a rainstorm might involve dripping water on the ground, right? It's like sympathetic magic. Yeah. A ritual to fly might involve wearing feathers and chirping like a bird, right? It's the idea of similarity, and we use that very often in divination. I mean, that's the basis for divination. And so that's an important tool. And now the law of contagion is the first one that's new. Things once in contact continue to interact after separation. Anything once in contact with a substance, person, object may be used as a witness of that substance, person, or object. A good example would be the traditional use of hair or nail clippings attached to a voodoo doll. A witness could be the thought of like a tuning crystal of a radio. In any case, power is contagious. It's homeopathic magic. Coming in contact with something creates an entanglement. Entanglement can be broken, though. It's an important part of this law is that it is hard to disconnect. It's actually impossible to. However, you can in the lower world disconnect. We're already connected in the higher world. You and I are already literally the same being up there. There's no separation. There's no distance. There's no male and female. I'm not wearing a green shirt up there. But down here, that connection happened, and it's real. So we've connected, we've talked, we've gotten personal, during readings and stuff. And so there's a real bond that took place, and that's not going to disappear just because we don't talk anymore. unless you do work to make that happen, and that is possible. So if you have say like a bad relationship, or somebody in your life that caused you pain or abuse or whatever the case, it's hard to get that energy out of us. It's part of who we are, but it is possible, and the way to do that is very simple: die. Let go of the thing that those things attach to, and they go along with everything else. And what you're left with is the blank slate that you are. And what is that? An infinitely small point of reception. A tiny little point speck of light that does not have a body, does not have a mind, does not have a heart. You are nothing but will. Formless, infinite, immortal, eternal, undying, unchanging, unchangeable. So that's the secret, is to die. And don't be afraid, because when you do, you get rid of everything else, and you're still going to be there. And it gives us the ability to decide what we're going to put in there. But all the stuff that came along with the old person goes with it, and that includes the old witnesses, the people, and so forth. Right? And so that's a biggie. The law of connection. Are you ready? Every action is an energy exchange. To have power over something is for it to have power over you. To oppose something is to maintain it. Two opposites each contain the essence of the other. Right. Where have I seen that before? The yin yang. And so the idea here is that if you want to stop giving power to a negative force in your life, then quit thinking about it, because you're giving it power every time you do. Even if the thoughts are negative or low thoughts towards something, you're still giving it energy by keeping it in your world. And so the law of connection is a biggie. Every action is an energy exchange. Every action. To have power over something is for it to have power over you. To oppose something is to maintain it. Two opposites each contain the essence of the other. And so just consider that. Whenever you're looking at any phenomena, that there's a little piece of you in there, and there's a little piece of them in you. And it gives us the ability to recognize the important truth here, which is that thing that's inside of you, that's a little piece of them, and the thing that's inside of them, that's a little piece of you, are really just the same thing, right? Again, we're unchanging in the higher world. There was no split. There is no duality, right? There is no masculine, feminine. We're together. We've always been together. We're never going to not be together, because we're the same being. There is no together. Together implies two separate things. 10 separate things. 50 separate things. We've always and always will be, always have been and always will be in the middle. I'm starting to lose it a bit. I'm getting a little confused and tired, and so I'm going to take the opportunity to go with that and hopefully lose consciousness as soon as possible. Yeah, let me just stop there and ask if anyone has any questions or anything else before I move on. And then I'm just going to sign off and call it a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. I mean, we had a blast. We had some fun tonight. It was like, I don't think I laughed that hard on the stream in a while. And it felt great. It really, really felt great. It was really something special. So anyone who participated in that, thank you. Shushu, you're the best. There's just the gems you drop. Vesta, come on. Smart, beautiful, funny. Marry me. Like, seriously. Kitten, thank you so much for everything. The cards, like, you have an amazing vision when we're doing readings on the channel here, and I can't tell you enough that what that means. Like, and I say it a lot all the time, and I'm going to keep saying it because you are freaking everything. Seriously. I'm going to try, I promise. I am going to try to rest. I mean it. Otherwise, Missy, if you catch this after the fact, I love you, my sister from another mister. Where you been? Luana, would you please join my stream? Where are you? I love everyone. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you have any questions or specifically subjects that you want me to talk about, right? I teased a ton of crap tonight on purpose, and so if there's anything particular you want me to really get into, let me know, and I'm happy to do that. Okay. And so let's just end the evening with a little song from our bowl. I didn't want to gong it, I just wanted to let it begin to sing. Same to you. You know, all I need to do when I need peace is just picture you in my mind, because you are a vision of peace to me. You're a vision of calm, my brother. And that's special. So thank you. Good night to everyone. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And you know I mean it. I'll see you tomorrow. Butter. It did in fact happen. And it was the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. It was like tacos for breakfast level shit.